Okay, cool. Dope. Hello. How are you? It's a little earlier than normal. Oh, and I didn't create the event page this week, so that's going to be fun. I'm good. How are you all? Oh, not good. Any particular reason? Or just not good? You don't always need a reason. Sometimes you just feel like shit. I'm gonna wait and see if my usual crew gets here because I'm gonna make an event page, so they might think that we're not doing it this week. So, if my crew shows up, let me know. Sound off in chat. Hi, new person. You're gonna be very confused. Everyone in my family got COVID except for me, and I have to sleep on the couch. Oh, so you're like sort of pseudo quarantine because everyone else has got COVID. That's like the reverse. But still, bad time. Sorry to hear that. I know lots of people are still getting COVID. It's kind of unfortunate. Lady Eva, yes. I didn't make an event page and I didn't realize it until... What the fuck? All right, Jake. Cool that you're here. You're going to be very confused, my guy. Also, thank you for the stuff. We got it in the mail. We got a lot of stuff in the mail. I don't want to say what it is because I'm actually going to use it for this channel. So, heyo. So glad you're here. So for all the new people, that are kind of coming in here that have no idea what's going on, Storytime with Shinsou. We're reading a book. And it's a real weird book, and we're actually going to continue reading it, I think, this week, as long as I started. I didn't want to kind of be constrained by the time frame of the live event feature, because I think that's what was interfering with me downloading the live, is because we went over the time that we had for the event schedule. So, I'm going to try and see as if I don't create the event, if it will have the same trouble. Because every time I go over on the time limit for the event schedule, which I cannot always control depending on the length of the chapter, I just sort of estimate. And 2 hours sounded like a good time frame. But if we go over, I'm pretty sure that's what's happening. That's making it unable for me to download them. So we're going to see, and we're going to test this out. And we're going to go over 2 hours today. Just chit-chatting if we need to. But I started early so also I could test my internet. We seem to be doing okay. We have our internet back, like our Wi-Fi came back. So real happy about that. And it's been quality-wise, good enough for us to stream, good enough for, my partner to go back to work. Good enough to watch YouTube, all that stuff. So it seems to be fine. And we're gonna see if we can do the things today. And yes, an amazing book, Thorny Rose. So glad you're here. Also, hi, Villain Tanky. Hi, definitely two. Yeah, if you were here last time, we didn't really read. We were having so many technical issues, so we just sat around and chatted for about 2 hours. And that's the joke. Say 2 in the chat if you can hear me and see me, and we aren't lagging or experiencing any difficulty. Yeah, Dad's in the chat. Mycroft is my dad. 2, 2, 2, 2. Yes, awesome. 2's in the chat. Glad to see you all are here. So yeah, for everyone new, we're going to read a book, and it's a really weird book. And if you haven't been here with us, you're going to be so confused. But we're reading Johannes, Cabal, the Necromancer. Here, I'll show you. It's a great book if you want to check it out. And it's about a necromancer, obviously. And he's trying to get his soul back from Satan, and we're going to read 9 and 10 today. And 9 is the worst chapter of this book, in my opinion. And I'm sure a lot of you will agree. Yeah, it's the crazy chapter. It's all over the place. I don't even know how you're gonna get my best bad illiterate 6-year-old voice. Like, we're gonna see how it goes. Probably not great. But it's gonna go. We're gonna do it. Oh yeah, it's gonna be so chaotic, this chapter. It's so nuts. So yeah, if you want to stick around and listen to me read, that's gonna be great. And also, I'm still in the process of re-recording 3, 4, 5, and 6. I have 3 and 4 recorded. I need to go back and edit those, but I couldn't really do anything because of the tornado. The damage from the tornado for a while kind of took out the internet, and it didn't want to export any files. So I recorded almost all of 5 and then mistakenly tried to export it, and then it glitched and I lost the file. So we're going to get those up, but I just don't have a lot of free time during the week. This is my only day a week that I get to cosplay. So here we are. I recorded all my content for the day. Well, almost all of my content for the day. And we're gonna get into this. So that's gonna be fun. And this is sort of a test. So I may or may not go with the event system schedule if it's... I just realized there's a stain on this hoodie, and we're all going to pretend that it's not there, okay? Because I didn't realize it when no, wait, I think I saw that earlier and I ignored it because it didn't matter, and it matters now, but I got cold. Okay. Yes. No damage to my property. Simferdanks, glad you're here. Oh my gosh, yes. Solid. The whole crew's here almost. No. Midoriya's got to get in here for it to be a full crew. No. But, I have not... Yeah, I ate a cookie. That's not nutritious. That's not nutritious at all. I ate a cookie. And that was hours ago. I have not eaten, but I am drinking water. I got some water. I got my water. I drank water this morning, and I'm drinking more now, and I also got my coffee in the cup that my dad got me. My dad got me this cup. So I got my coffee, got my water, got my book, and we're going to read, and I swear to you, Simferdanks, I will eat something after this live, okay? That's normally when I eat. I wait until after the live's over. But I'm going to do it. Don't worry. It's going to be fun. I'll go get some food after the live, I swear. We have 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Yeah, I'm going to wait until 8. So we can just chit chat for now. But yeah, I'm going to see if the event schedule system was what was fucking up. Those are your Mondays. Well, I'm glad you're liking them. So I'm having a real fun time reading to you guys, and I love the series. Chapter 9 is a little rough, but we'll get through it. You know what? And it'll be fine. But if the event schedule system was what was messing up the download feature for the live, I may do without it. I may only create events for if we start a new book. So, like, there will be an event when we do another launch, and then you all can just assume to show up here on 8 o'clock Tuesday, if you can remember that. You also bought it as a Christmas present? Oh, sweet. Books make great Christmas presents. I would love if people gave me books as Christmas presents. Like, and sometimes people do, but a lot of the time I already have the book. So people have stopped that in recent years, because then I would get it and I'd be like, I already have that. And they were like, oh. And it got real weird. You have an alarm set for this? Ah, that's solid. That's all I ever wanted to be, was a setting on someone's calendar. Only time I don't show up is when I'm asleep. Yeah, you were asleep last time. Don't worry, you missed nothing. You missed everybody in telling me that I was having technical issues every 30 to 45 seconds. In fact, it was so bad. I've never done a live, because for those of you who don't know, who don't create content, whenever you go live, it puts you on the For You page, like your videos, and also the fact that you're live. So not only will it advertise that you're live to people who interact with your content and your followers, it also put you on the For You page for people who view that, who algorithmically view your content or view content like it. So if people frequently do like anime or like My Hero tags, you'll show up on their For You page more. The likelihood is increased. And also, sometimes it puts you on the wrong side of TikTok, but we'll get to that later. But it also puts your videos, like the videos you create on the For You page for people who algorithmically view that kind of content. And you normally gain a few followers. Like, I mean, there hasn't been a live that I haven't gained at least like 30 followers minimum. I think my first live that's what I gained, was like 30 followers. And now it's extremely uncommon for me to get off a live and not have like 99 plus notifications of people following me. I didn't get a single follower last time, and I'm pretty sure it's because it was glitching so bad that I kept dipping out of the live, like when it recommends you to people for like your followers or whatever, it shows them that you're live. I don't even think I was on that, for at least not after we started in earnest. Like after a few people showed up, we started having technical difficulties so bad that we couldn't even stay online for longer than like 3 minutes. Yeah, it kept pausing on the weirdest times and my dad was here, and we were just making the weirdest faces, and like talking with each other and talking to you guys, and it kept pausing, and it got bad. So I'm pretty sure it was so bad, I didn't gain a single follower last time. It was crazy. I was like, I've never had it be that bad. Not that I'm kind of like, anybody who knows me knows that I don't really make content for the follow. Like, I just make it so that maybe someone's gonna laugh. Like, that's my goal, is maybe someone's gonna think it's funny, or maybe someone's gonna think it's sad, or maybe someone's gonna like it. And that's kind of why I do it. This started as a therapy session, not gonna lie. This started as a suggestion from my therapist, is why I started doing it. And then when I got all the stuff and I got on, like, I started looking at, like, I had just joined TikTok not too long before, and I had started cosplaying just in my house, just walking around in it for a while and seeing how I felt, and like, and then I got on cosplay TikTok somehow, and I was like, wait, I can just film myself and put myself on the internet? I bet I could do that. And then that's how it started. But I actually, like, just care if you guys show up. Like, I don't care if it notifies anybody else that I'm live, but like the people who've started the book with me, who have stayed here, Simp for Danks, Lady Aoife, like Insomniac, and all of you, where's my existential friend? Maybe These Won't Die. Where are you? Are you in here? I'm trying to scroll. Where are you going? Oh yeah, Maybe These Won't Die. Yes. And you're in here, and Crimson Raven Moon's here, and they've been coming for the past couple times, actually. So I am super happy to see. And T Galaxies is here. Yes, the gang's all here. And we're good. And we can start, because I was really worried without the event page. Like, I was like, I wonder if my usuals will show up. What if that doesn't happen? I was like, what am I gonna do? But as long as you guys are here, that's what I really cared about. And like, it was glitching so bad, I was like, let's just take a vote. Everybody who's normally here, let's take a vote on if I should read. And we did, and it was no. It was terrible. Okay. You also have an alarm. That's solid. Oh man, you have it in your calendar. That's so solid. I'm people's calendars. Like I mean something. That's terrible. It makes me laugh. You sent me another one. Sort of. Oh wait, yes. I saw that and I was like, I gotta respond to this later because I was like, I can't devolve right now. I have to make my content for the week. And then I get to chat everyone up. So if you've sent me a DM and I haven't responded for a while, 1, it was because we didn't have internet for a while. And 2, it's because on Tuesdays I have to film content before I let myself do anything else, or else I will not film content. Aw, I'm glad I make you happy. You guys make me happy. Like, all my usuals that I see when I see you all in chat, that's the real serotonin. Like, it's cool when, like, people drop in, they're like, hi, what are you doing? I don't know. Yeah, it's cool. But, like, it's really fun when people that you actually, like, vibe with and talk to, and, like, semi-regularly, because I'm not a regularly social person. But I do chat with a lot of you. like that's cool. I'm like, I know I can trust you guys. You're not going to be doing some weird shit in my chat. It's nice. It's real nice. Anyway, I'm done stalling. I'm going to read the shit. This is literally the shit chapter. Oh no. This chapter is going to be so terrible. This is written mostly, there's breaks in it. It's not completely written that way. But it's written from like the perspective of like a semi-illiterate 6-year-old who is writing a school paper. And almost all of the words are misspelled. So I'm going to read to the best of my ability the words as they are written. So if anybody comes in here and thinks I'm having a stroke, just quickly let them know the synopsis of this chapter if they weren't prepped. Because it's bad. And it's terrible. And we're gonna have a terrible time. So chaotic. It's gonna be great. Depending on your outlook on life, it'll be great. Alright, shit, we're gonna get into it. Chapter 9, in which I go to the Carnival and see stuff. What I did at Weekend by Timothy Chambers, Esquire, VC and Bar, Bane of the Trees. On Saturday, my mum and me went to the Carnival. It is called the Cabal Carnival. Cable Carnival. It's already going terribly. As it is owned by 2 men, what is both called Cable. This is because they are brothers like Victor and me, but unlike Victor and me, they do not mind being seen together. There was a big gate to stop you getting in unless you have paid, but my mate Tony got in on Thursday under the marine pins without nobody knowing, which is a laugh as he has been the cat-like stealth of dead pig on roller skates with a police siren on its head. Then he jumps around going hut, 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 which is not my idea of quiet either. So we go through the big gate, and my mum said, "Now, Timothy, you must stay close, or your darling mamma, and not rush off just where have you gone? For it is true, dear reader, I have cast off the shackles of maternal love, past the sick bag, matron, and flown off like a free bird, ha, like a big fat gawping vulture, ha. So is my brother Victor, who hath just read this over my shoulder like he would know, and he runs screaming from the interesting natural history progs on the telly, and now we see Mother Nature red in tooth and claw, gnash, snarl, blood everywhere, and the dulcet tones of Victor sobbing in fear in the kitchen. But I digress. Oh my God, this is terrible. I'm gonna have a stroke. Sorry. Last scene, I was running through the Carnival, Towran, my innocent young brain, being corrupted by the sideshows of fearsome depravity. Fabuloso, I see the ghost-tron and run up to the skinny bloke in front. Hello, mister, can I go on your ghost train, please? Oh, please, for I'm not above the begging. Oh, my God. I know, it's so terrible. Well, ain't you the enthusiastic one, huh, Junior? Said Mr. Bones, looking down on the young boy jumping up and down in front of him. Where's your mom? The boy looked abashed. Over there, he said eventually, and pointed at half the country. Oh, said Bones. Right, well, so long she knows where you are, young fella, that's fine. You want to go on the ghost train, The boy nodded hard and fast, enough to pull muscles in an older man. Okay, but you gotta understand, this is one spooky mother of a ride, you hear? We get kids, heck, twice your age going in here, coming out like old men. He illustrated old by going bow-legged and waggling his hands. Why, I went in there with a fine head of hair. Now look. And he whipped off his brown derby to show a perfectly smooth skull. The boy laughed delightedly. Oh, you can laugh now, but look what this ride's gone and done to me. I'm only 15. I think he has been economical with the truth, but no matter, for the ghost train do beckon, metaphorically, although actually not that metaphorically, for it have an enormous skeleton on top, which do the beckoning with a big hand. Also a big gorilla with a rock, but no quel horror, ma petite, for I have no money. No cash, huh? Said Bones. Well, he looked around with a great drama and then ducked close to whisper. I suppose I could push the rules and let you in, yeah? But it's our secret, right? No telling your friends, 'cause I'll have to say no to 'em, okay? The boy nodded excited by the conspiracy. Okay, then, said Bones. He stepped into the ticket booth and slapped out a piece of pasteboard. Here you go, 1 complimentary ticket, courtesy of the management. The boy took it reverentially. Bones stepped sideways out of the booth and said sternly, You got a ticket? I see you have. He plucked it from the boy's fingers, tore it neatly in two, and returned the stub. Then, brightening, he said, All aboard the ghost train, and waved him onto the first car. The driver were a skeleton too, and the skinny block say, Here's my friend driver, so you must show him a good time. And the driver put down his racing paper and said, Okay, Bones, which is a bit ironic, really. And then the skinny block go away, and the ghost train start up, and the train is a proper one with the smoke and the steam, and not like that rubbish one at the butler's fair, which was driven by a youth's body than my bro, which is saying something and no mistake. He just sit there for ages talking to girls who were less fussy than can be believed. This driver, though, was a proper ghost train driver, 'cause he was dead, and not just dead ugly. So the train pulled away from the platform and entered the tunnel of fear, which I know 'cause it said so over the top. The train accelerated hard and shot into the tunnel like a ferret down a hole, smashing open the doors that kept the interior in gloom. Timothy had a momentary impression of the hideous grinning face painted across the doors, changing its expression of one of worried anticipation just before impact, and could have sworn that he heard the doors say, Ouch! in concern amidst the loud buffet as they bounced off their end stops. Loud buffet. Oops. Ha ha, said the driver laconically to himself. The switching is hard. Because then it starts to run together. Said the driver laconically to himself. The train swept around a corner and down a small hill that must surely take them lower than ground level, slowed to take a hard jink to the left, and then started to pick up speed. Timothy hadn't been on many ghost trains in his short life, but this one was surely different. Even the way the train ran, heading off into doors of the right of the facade, and therefore offering a Widdershins ride as distinct from the common clockwise path, seemed calculated to unsettle. For several long seconds, nothing occurred. Then he became aware of a small gray area that, for a curious moment, he felt sure was a window. No, it was too irregular. Suddenly he realized that it was a large toy rabbit, perhaps 4 feet tall. It had definitely seen better days. One ear was lopsided halfway up its length. The fur was balding down to a Hessian quality in places, and one of its button eyes dangled on its cheek by a loose thread. "That's not scurry at all," I said, intimidated by the big bunny. "It is not terrifying. It is a swizzing cheat, and I would ask for my money back had I paid any, which I have not. I am the embodiment of childhood fears, if you must know," said the bunny. "I can see I'm a bit early in your case. Just give it 20 years, and I will scurry you something bad, laddie." "I do not see how that is possible, my fine threadbare friend," said I, "for I have never had a bunny as a toy, and therefore cannot project my Freudian traumas onto one. So your floppy ears." It is then that I notice a tabel in the gloom behind him at which sat other big toys. They are playing cards and drinking beer, and they call things like "Betcha had a teddy bear though," or "a big toothed monkey called Mr. Nana," or "a comical squid." A little voice from the chateaus saw, or Cromarty, the friendly piebald rat, and all the other toys throw their glasses at it. "Shut up, Cromarty," they say. "Nobody ever have a friendly piebald rat in the history of the world. Shut up before we biff you up again." The horror bunny leave a big sigh and say, "I have had just about enough of this. I want some fresh air here." And he say, waving at the train driver, "Stop, I want a ride." So we stop, and the horror bunny, whose name is Jan, climb in, and then we were off again. Oh my God. The other page is normal. Keep swearing. Oh my God. Your brain's confused. Oh my God. Jan, the horror bunny, took delicate hold of the thread running from beside the side of his dangling eye and pulled gently, drawing the eye back into its correct place. "That's better," he said to Timothy. "It plays absolute hell with your stereoscopic vision, having one eye wandering around like that. So, Master Timothy," said Timothy in a small voice, although not as small as one might expect under the circumstances. "Master Timothy, are you enjoying the fair so far?" "It's a bit funny." "Oh, yes," said Jan, leaning forward in his seat to peer into the darkness. "It's a funny fair, all right." Suddenly, thin figures, apparently made from outsized black pipe cleaners with broken spoons for heads, leapt out of nowhere and danced around, making gobbling noises. Timothy jumped a little. "Garn!" he shouted Jan. "Get out of it, you beatniks!" The figures capered out of sight, still gobbling. Jan turned to Timothy. "I mean, what are they meant to be? They're just a mess. We've been on the go for months now, and we've never met anybody who had a morbid fear of surrealism. Dislike?" He seesawed a paw. "Maybe. Fear? Nah." They trundled on in silence for a few more moments. Something indescribably phobic shuffled out and sat by the track, smoking a woodbine. "I'm the thing that lives under your bed. Gurrah!" This last delivered as a sort of noise a monster might make if it could get up a bit of enthusiasm. "No, you're not," said I, "for I sleep on the upper bunk, and so what live on me bed is me brother, Victor, and you are not nearly horrible enough." Oh my God. Yeah, really get a copy if you want to know why I'm reading it this way. So, yeah, I apologize in advance for anybody coming in. Please let them know. Oh my god, I keep like... Because it has breaks in the page, the way that it's written, but some of them, they just have one page that's normal and another page that's normal. And you don't know it splits until you start reading it, and you're like, should I read it like a weirdo? No. Anyway, sorry about the break. Oh, said the something. Bollocks. It shuffled back into the shadows until only the glowing tip of its cigarette was visible. You're a tough nut to crack, Master Timothy, said Jan. A wardrobe loomed up and the door began to open, slowly, menacingly. Jan leaned out of the train and kicked it shut. Don't waste your time, he called at the wardrobe as it was lost in the gloom behind them. Muffled swearing seemed to be coming from it. He's only a kid. Jan turned to Timothy and studied him with an appraising eye. A tug of the thread allowed him to study Timothy with 2 appraising eyes. We should have a few vampires and zombies and that sort of thing in, shouldn't we? All this psychological stuff is entirely wasted on you. With another battering of the bat swing doors, they were back out into the open air. Hey, kid, said Jan, as the train drew to a halt and the driver returned to studying the racing papers. Want to see some stuff? This one is almost entirely normal, but if you want to see a page really quick... I'm going to go back to where there's a lot of it so that you can see it either. Yeah, here's the beginning of the chapter. I don't know how much of that you can read. Or if it'll even show up. Yeah, it's really fuzzy and it's not focusing. Focus. Come on, do the things. You don't want to focus? You don't want to do anything? I'm being as still as possible. Yeah, I won't focus. But yeah, if you could read this, get a copy of the book, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's terrible. What sort of stuff, I say? The stuff of nightmare, he say back. Okie dokie, I say. Yeah, it's also backwards. I don't have the invert. I don't think it'll let me do the invert thing here. I wish you could see this, though. It's the worst. Timothy and Jan wandered the carnival, drawing surprisingly little comment, except a few disparaging ones about the condition of that little man's costume. Where are we going? Asked Timothy. Dunno yet, said Jan. He paused and looked slowly around as if his ears were a radar antenna. Let's try the Hall of Mirrors. Aw, pooh, said Timothy with gusto. Halls of Mirrors are boring. All there is a lot of mirrors, and one makes you look fat, and another makes you look thin, and one makes you look wiggly. That's boring. You're too young to be worldly wise, Master Timothy, said Jan. Come on, get educated. They went around the back of the sideshow and slipped in through a service door. We won't get in trouble, will we? Asked Timothy a little tremulously, for he was basically a responsible lad and respected the privacy of individuals and institutions, besides which he hated getting shouted at. Jan paused to think about it, erecting his floppy ear and flopping his erected one while he did so. Trouble? Nah, I shouldn't think so. The Hall of Mirrors is much more fun from this side. They were in a darkened room, the only illumination coming from tall, thin oblongs of subdued light. The oblongs seemed at first to be pictures of a dull room, until Timothy belatedly realized that they were on the other side of the mirrors, looking into the hall itself. From this side, the images were completely undistorted, as if the mirrors were plain glass, and no sooner had he made that realization than people started coming in. He watched as people trooped past, pausing, laughing, doing knee bends, sticking out tongues, dragging their friends in front of the panes, moving on, all in total silence. What's so good about this? Asked Timothy. Come over here, said Jan, beckoning. Timothy joined him by a mirror that was in a little cul-de-sac off the main room. The light was bad, but there was a woman standing on the other side, looking at herself in the looking-glass. She wasn't smiling. Timothy squinted. She looked familiar somehow, but this mirror, unlike all the others, didn't give a clear image. It was like looking through a film of oil or at a body at the bottom of a shallow pond. Know what she's seeing? Asked Jan in an unnecessary whisper. She's seeing herself as she wishes she was. Probably a bit younger, probably a bit more shapely, probably not looking quite so much like somebody traveling the steerage in the ship of life. Sad, ain't it? Why she want to be younger? I can't wait to grow up. You don't have to wish to grow up. It happens all the time. You can't stop it, not without the proper assistance, anyway. She looks all right to me, said Timothy, to whom all adults were much of a muchness. Yeah, but you ain't seeing what she's seeing. If you were looking in that mirror, you know what you'd see? You'd see yourself in a few years' time. As a space pilot? If that's what you want to be. I don't suppose she wants to be Danielle Adair, though. Whoa, she's going to be off in a minute if the boss doesn't shake a leg. The woman shook her head unhappily and turned to go. As if on cue, a tall blonde man in slightly archaic clothes stepped up beside her. They started talking. The man gestured toward the mirror, and the woman, despite herself, couldn't help but look. That's the boss, said Jan. Johannes Cabal himself. Cabal stood beside the woman, talking quietly as she looked at a reflection that wasn't really her reflection. Just a minute, said Timothy, frowning profoundly. He won't be seeing what she's seeing, will he? He'll be seeing what he wants to be. What's that, then? Unless Cabal wanted to be a space pilot, too, Timothy couldn't conceive of anything he'd rather be than the owner of a carnival. You could go on rides as much as you liked and eat candy floss for dinner, and if he'd looked a little closer, perhaps he might have seen that Cabal wasn't looking in that mirror at all. Only at the woman. In fact, he seemed to be making some effort to avoid the sight of his own reflection. Dunno, said Jan, shrugging. Oh, here we go. Cabal was leading the woman away. She kept stealing glances over her shoulder. She looked hopeful. Sign on the dotted line. Get your heart's desire, and all at the footling cost of... Jan looked sideways at Timothy. Are you sure you want to be a space pilot? Oh, yes. More than anything else? Yes. Sorry. My new friend, Hen the Rabbit of Tur, took me out of the Hall of Mirrors and around the outside of the fur until we arrive at a big thing. And at first I think it is only the girly Helty-Skelty, but no, it is a moon rocket. On the front of it have a big scene saying, Rocket to the moon. Visit Moonbase Omega. Fight the Selenite. Experience 0G. I own myself impressed, my fluffy bunny friend, said I. Sorry. Really is. Rocket ship Erebus swept low over the Sea of Tranquility. Transmissions from Moonbase Omega had ceased 12 standard space hours earlier, and Space Control had dispatched the nearest rocket ship to investigate. It's probably the Selenites, gruff Colonel Cromarty had warned them. They've been quiet just recently. Too quiet. Be careful, my boy. Now, at the responsive controls of his trusty ship, Captain Timothy Chambers, Space VC, and Barr coolly appraised the approaching base. No signs of life, old man. I don't like the look of this. Not one little bit. His co-pilot, Space Rabbit, First Class Jan, nodded thoughtfully. The Selenites have never forgiven you for their last time you gave them a bloody nose, Gov. It's no secret. This is your patrol area. We'd be on the lookout. It could just be a trap. The Erebus performed a perfect landing by the base's ground vehicle bays. What's the scheme, Gov? Asked Jan. We've nowhere near the main airlocks. Captain Chambers finished checking his... Hobletron Maxi Multi-Blaster ray pistol and holstered it on his spacesuit. We're going in through the vehicle doors. They won't be expecting us to come from that direction. Oh, crumbs, said Jan unhappily. A moonwalk. They always give me the collywobbles. Minutes later, the two doughty space heroes were on the concrete apron, heading for the airlock, heading into the vehicle bays. Chambers moving in a smooth, rhythmic stride. Jan in cautious hops that carried him 20 feet. Halfway there, and caught in no cover, they heard a familiar voice filtering into their helmets. A harsh voice with an underlying counterpoint of clickings and whirrings. Ah, Captain Chambers, if there is one thing predictable about you, it is your pathetic attempts at unpredictability. Tashartica, said Chambers, halting, crouching, and signaling Jan to do the same. The last I saw of you, you were being pursued through the Venusian swamps by the local fauna. It would seem that even a Pseudopredasaurus rex has its standards. Make your little jokes, human. I'm not the one trapped out in the open with the guns of 20 Selenite warriors trained upon me. Well, there's no accounting for taste, said Chambers evenly, but he was worried. Tashartica, the atavistic freak with unusually high intelligence that had turned the formerly peaceful Selenites against the benign patronship of Earth, was not to be dismissed lightly. Even now, in his moment of victory, if he had said that there were 20 warriors, then there were sure to be at least twice that number. Jan, old man, I've heard say that pogo sticks are fashionable again. He drew his gun and released the recoilless toggle. Jan understood immediately. Oh, Lume, they're not, are they? He said with dismay. He hated this. Tashartica had many negative traits, but inattention wasn't one of them. They're up to something, he clicked in word at his troops in their native tongue. Kill them. The dozen Mutron space carbines opened fire simultaneously, but it was already too late. Chambers, space hero to a generation, had fired at the ground beneath him at full power. The pistol, with its inertial compensators deactivated, produced a monstrous kick. In the moon's weak gravity, 1/6 of Earth's, he was thrown high above the surface. Tumbling head over heels, he reactivated the compensators and started snap shooting with deadly effect on the snipers. Jan's enormously powerful hind legs had propelled him into the dark lunar sky without the need for assistance, and he fired in valiant and enthusiastic support. Selenite warriors shattered and exploded under the lethal rain, their return fire confused and ineffective. In seconds, one had thrown down its carbine and was running for the safety of the nearby tunnel, certainly the method by which they had taken the base by surprise. Like a trickle forming into a deluge, the others quickly decided that they couldn't face up to Captain Tim Chambers, and they, too, ran a rout against rather than retreat. Reform, you fools! Regroup and attack! Raged Tashartica. Suddenly he realized he was alone. Discretion being the better part of valor, he ran too. The next time, Captain, you will be sorry for this. Oh, yes, he grated before throwing himself headlong into the tunnel. Chambers and Jan's combined fire brought it crashing down on his heels. 10 minutes later, they were inside Moonbase Omega, untying the prisoners. Great guns, sir, cried the base commandant, slapping Chambers on the shoulder. I thought the jig was up there for a little while, and then when the Selenite who was leading them, Tashartica. They've got names? Fancy that. Anyway, when the leader said it was all a trap to take you in, I thought right then, didn't I think right then, Valerie? Valerie, the commandant's beautiful daughter, looked at Chambers with unabashed adoration. Oh, yes, she said. Something about her attention made Chambers feel a bit funny and awkward. I mean, she's a girl. Oof. Ugh. She will want to kiss and talk about ponies, and still, faithful reader, I'm oddly affected by her presence. And then the old commandant is still talking. I thought, right then, they had bitten off more than they can chew. Then, yon the bunny, sir. Think you could do this for a living? Being a hero and everything? Timothy was still looking around the room with wide eyes. Light bulbs flickered random patterns on plywood consoles. A painted moonscape was visible through a plastic window. Layla and some giant stuffed toys stood around in tatty uniforms of silver lame. Layla had an expression of unabashed adoration that wasn't altering by a twitch. This is great, he breathed. Well, continued Jan, All you have to do is fill in a form, and all this can be yours. A form, said Timothy dubiously. Forms were the only things about growing up that filled him with fear. They looked complicated, and he knew his parents hated them. Oh, don't say it like that. It's your entry to the Space Corps. Your name's all that's needed, right here. He produced a form from his stuffing. Timothy looked at it for the better part of 3 seconds before saying, "Okay." "That's great," said Jan, flicking pieces of Kapok off the parchment. "You won't regret this." In an undertone, he added, "At least not immediately." He passed Timothy a pen. Then 3 things... God. Written like so stupid. Thought it was a normal part. Then 3 things happen all at once. And at first, there's a big smash, and as if half the wall that had been knocked down behind us. Second, the pen just vanished out of me hand. And third, Jan the rabbit of fear is dangling off the floor, and a man who looked a bit like the man in the Hall of Mirror have him by the throat and is shacking him and being angry. "I told you no children," he shout. Now I know I'm in trouble. This place must be for grown-ups only." "Mr. Cabal said we do whatever is necessary," said Jan. "Then I am countermanding it," said the angry man. "No children. Not now, not ever. You tell Mr. Cabal that if he don't like it, he can take it up with me." And throw Jan at the wall like he just a big stuffed toy, which I suppose is fair enough. And then the man turned on the other toys and the shiny lady and said, "And you all ought to be ashamed of yourselves." But the way he said it, I don't think that he think they will be. And then he took me hand and say, "You're coming with me, young man." And he took me outside and take me to the gate where my mom is waiting. And I know I'm really in trouble. But then she just blub and call me Timmy and keep kissing me. And half the school's walking past and going, "Yup, who little darling Timmy. Chis not fair." But the man, he say, "Do not be hard on Tim. Children get excited and forget about everything else. He did not mean to upset you, I am sure." Which is true. I did really not. I just forgot. So my mom say, "Thank you, Mr. Cabal," and take me home. And we are halfway there when me rapier-like intelligence realized that this is the other Cabal brother, as in the Cabal Bros. And I have a piece of toast for supper and a glass of milk, and I go to bed. And that is what I had done at the weekend. Oh my God. It's over. Okay. The crappy part is over. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's over. It's over. Oh, thank God. Miss Rain, Timothy's teacher, finished reading the report and tapped her lower incisors with the butt of her pen. This made worrying reading. Very worrying reading. Something really ought to be done. She took the exercise book, walked out of the marking room, through the staff room, and down the corridor to the headmaster's study. She knocked and entered at his invitation. "Good afternoon, Miss Rain," he said as he finished penciling in some numbers on the budget figures he was compiling. Miss Rain was notorious for making a big hoo-ha over nothing. He had no doubt that this was going to be more of the same. "And how can I help you?" "It's Timothy Chambers, Mr. Tanner. I'm a little concerned about his state of mind." "Tim Chambers? Really? He's always struck me as perhaps a little over-imaginative, but nothing that a few years of secondary school won't knock out of him. What exactly is the problem?" "He handed in a report today about what he did at the weekend." She threw it on the desk. "It's bordering on the psychotic." As Tanner leaned forward to pick up the report, he noticed that Miss Rain's skirt stopped just shy of her knees. This was a new development. He frowned inwardly. There is such a thing as mutton dressing as lamb. On the other hand, they were unexpectedly appealing knees. Very appealing indeed. He flicked through the report but wasn't really paying much attention. How was it that he'd never noticed what a handsome woman Miss Rain was? Very handsome, most attractive. Perhaps she had changed her hair? She was saying something about calling in the district school psychiatrist, and he nodded absently. A possible threat to the other children, why, that would be most unpleasant. They must do everything in his power, to make sure that that didn't come to pass. In the space of 10 minutes, Timothy Chambers stopped being a nice, decent sort of lad, if a little prone to fancies, and had become a potential serial killer, arsonist, and cannibal. Psychiatric reports were a probability, observational internment a possibility, and removal from the school a certainty. Tanner watched a pleased Miss Rain leaving his study, and he wasn't looking at her back. She turned at the door and added, "After all, I should know. I was at the carnival myself last night. I had a wonderful time." We have one more part. From the Journal of the Reverend M. Redacted, Vicar of St. Cayen's, Jessup Leeses, April 25th, 1 Redacted. The rivalry of Miss J. Redacted and Miss B. Redacted has reached quite incendiary proportions. This week, Mrs. B. was charged with creating the floral arrangements for the church, a task she relishes. Indeed, she has always created quite most competent displays. This morning, however, I was called to the church by the sexton, who told me, and I use his exact words, "The daft old biddy's really done it this time, and at the time I believed he meant that she had excelled herself in a positive sense. I discovered my mistake the instant that I entered the church. The stench was appalling, breathtakingly so. Like a poorly run pig farm, the source of the smell was immediately obvious. Where I would have expected to see examples of Mrs. B.'s work, there were instead the most extraordinary repulsive piles of rotting vegetable matter. I was in the process of discussing with the sexton how we should dispose of the mess when Mrs. B. herself entered. I could swear that there was an expression of pride upon her face, but it was wiped away so quickly by the smell I cannot be sure. She was devastated. Yes, she admitted that she had supplied the floral arrangements as agreed, but could cast no light upon how it was that they had rotted in so short a time. She kept saying how beautiful they had been, how exotic. I helped carry out the grotesquely wilted remains to the sexton's wheelbarrow, which we had brought around for the purpose. An unenjoyable process. The flowers were wet and dripped some sort of ichor. The sexton was going to dump the mess on the composting heap in the corner of the churchyard, but I told him that I did not care to have such matter upon consecrated ground, to take it away entirely and burn it. This comment elicited a remarkable reaction from Mrs. B. She put her hand to her mouth, and I heard her say, "Consecrated!" to herself, as if coming to a horrible realization. She was just hurrying off when Mrs. J. arrived. She had her husband pushing along their own wheelbarrow, upon which were several floral pieces. Word travels quickly around the green, but I was still astonished at the alacrity with which Mrs. J. had leapt into the breach. Mr. J. wheeled them through the gate, and again Mrs. B. reacted unexpectedly, gasping as the barrow made its way through the churchyard. There followed a harshly whispered conversation between the two women that seemed very unfriendly. From what little I could make out, it appears that they had both attended the fun fair the previous evening. Mrs. B. had purchased a quantity of exotic plants, the acquisition of which had required her to sell some personal item. These plants she had used in her arrangements, although they had survived all the evening, yet rotted so quickly when in the church, defeated me. Mrs. J. had also brought something there, presumably a book on flower arranging, for her work, though it uses only common, simple flowers, was the best I've ever seen. Mrs. B. left in a hurry, presumably after the fairground people, to demand her money back, although they have already moved on in the night, and nobody seems to know where. I wish her well, but I fear this is most certainly a case of caveat emptor. And there's a graphic. It shows all the towns they've been to and all of them crossed out except for the last one, which will be the next chapter. And it's a good chapter. And that's it for chapter 9. And now I'm going to take a break for a second. Sorry I stopped so many times. That just, it does stuff to your brain to look at the words wrong for like a long time. So I'm like trying to read it and it's all like broken down English, and then you get to a normal part and you go to read it and you're like, I'm gonna, say all these words wrong intentionally, and then you're like, wait, no, that's normal. So you just kind of like read this break and it does weird stuff to your brain. So then I'll go to read a normal bit. The fact that it switches and it's just not completely one segment and then the other. And I knew they did that for comprehension and part of it for immersion. But man, when you're trying to read that out loud. Yeah, so I'm trying to talk. That's right, you can't talk. Yeah, it's just doing stuff. It was doing stuff to my brain. I'm glad I made it through it though. I attempted to do it. I did do it. Oh yeah, it's real crazy. So like, if you want to see how, like, train is TRANE, and it spells out the word skeleton, and like just all the stuff. Almost every single word is misspelled in that segment. People who bought the book that were like, how are you going to do chapter 9? I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure. So they all knew it was coming and like, you all know what it looks like. You all know. Hi. Did it go quiet? Oh, I hit my thing. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Go back. What is happening? I didn't even touch it that time. No sound. Hold on. You can hear me? Don't touch anything. Yeah, I hit the button and then it was still on, but it was on, God. I gotta get some headphones for this so I can hear what I'm doing, so I can mic check myself before it. Don't touch it. I'm not gonna touch it. I'm not touching it. I'm not touching it. No joke. You can't hear? Never mind. No. You can hear. You can hear? You can't hear. You can. You can? I'm gonna put this upside down so the buttons aren't facing my hand. You can hear. Okay, good. Making sure. Oh my God. Man, I gotta stop messing with the stuff. I was trying to plug my phone in. And then I fucked shit up. Put what down? No. I didn't touch anything. I put the coffee down or put the mic down? I put the mic down. I'm not touching it. I don't have any hands on it. I'm not on it at all. How are you all feeling? Do you enjoy the show? Bo Burnham style? I'm not touching it. I put it down. I got it set up. Everyone's saying they can hear me. So, or most people are saying they can hear me. I'm not going to touch them. I swear to shit, that was an accident. because of the chapter. God, I knew it was going to be bad. And I was going to fuck up like 10 times. So I'm glad that those of you who have read the book were like, no, it's bad. We know. Because if you haven't read it and you're just listening to me and you're like, man, they are struggling. Like, I'm sure there's probably been a couple people who came in and were just like, what is going on? Just gotta decompress for a second. Chapter 10 is fine. But I'm so glad you all are enjoying it. Yeah, chapter 9 was a struggle, so I'm glad you all stuck with me. So since you don't know what's happening, oh no, you don't know what's happening. What is this book again? All right. This book. Oh gosh. Touch the laptop. I'm going to stop touching electronics for the rest of the day after this. I feel like I'm just making everything worse. The book is called Johannes Cabal the Necromancer. Here's the book. It's by Jonathan Howard. If you want to go check out the book, it's a good book, but chapter 9 is written very strangely, as though a 6-year-old wrote a paper. So that is the book if you want to figure it out. Yeah, I was kind of afraid. I was like, some new person is going to come in right when I'm like halfway through this weird shot of what's happening right now, and they're not going to know what's going on, and they're going to think I'm having a stroke. So yeah, glad you're here. Now that you're all caught up, we're halfway through this book. We're going to read this whole series, probably. People seem to like it. That chapter is cursed. There's no other chapter like it. There's no other chapter written like that. Yeah, that was the one when right after I started reading it for you guys, I was like, yeah, I'm reading Johannes to the internet, and this is going to be so much fun. And then I was like, I have to read chapter 9. And then I was like, maybe I made a mistake. Yes, this is an every Tuesday thing. Every Tuesday at 8, we read a book together until about 10:30 p.m. My time, obviously. I don't know what time zone you're in. But yes, set time. And we're almost done with the book, actually. But there is a YouTube channel link. I still have to re-record a few chapters because I was downloading the live from the creator portal thing. You know what I'm talking about. You know. It lets you download every live you do. And there was an error. The 4 chapters, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I'm still re-recording those because I don't get a lot of free time. But there's a YouTube link with chapters that you may have missed. And it's a super good book. And I'm glad you all are enjoying it. I really am. This is a hoot. And we made it through chapter 9, which was the part that I was worried the most about. So now it is smooth sailing from here, you guys. When am I going to be with Nodi again? Probably next Tuesday. I might be over there. They're still kind of decompressing from Hallmat. They went to Hallmat. I did not go to Hallmat because I don't like people. They wanted me to go to Hallmat, and I was like, that sounds like an absolute nightmare. And they were like, it'll be fun. And I was like, absolutely not. We're not doing that. Yes, I did. Well, they were telling me about it. I haven't gotten to see it in person, actually. They've told me about it, I should say. Because they left for Hallmat, like, immediately after, like, they left for Hallmat Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember. And they were gone for the entire weekend. It might have been in their, I don't think that, no, I'm pretty sure that she said she was taking it to home at. So, yeah, no, I was just notified of it. But super cool. I'm so cool. I normally just go by Toshi. Or anybody that I interact with, like from TikTok, just knows me as Toshi, coincidentally. So you can call me Toshi, that's fine. I don't normally go by my actual name or anything because of the career path that I'm on. It's sort of like being a teacher. Like, if they find out you do anything super weird, you kind of can't do anything on social media without it being a problem. But yeah, so Toshi's fine. I'd love to go to a con, but crowds, same. That is my ultimate problem every single time, is just people. I'm like, I don't like crowds. I don't like large groups of people in small spaces. I'm fine being alone in a small space, so it's not claustrophobia. It's legitimately a fear of crowds. I forget what it's called, but I have a fear of crowds. And I just generally don't like people. Like, if there's people in a place, even if I've met them, like, my social battery will drain very fast. I'm like a Generation 4 iPhone when I'm out in public. Like, there's nothing. It's gonna last 5 minutes, and then I'm like, all right, well, this has been fun. That's literally how it goes every single time. This is the most social interaction that I get throughout the week, honestly. Because I'm also very rude at work. It's sort of, mostly it's just disinterest, but I'm very dismissive apparently, and I just don't notice. But I just walk away from people while they're talking to me. I did that the other day to a coworker, and like they were like, "Whoa, hey, what? We were talking," and I was like, "Were we?" And I was like, "That was so rude." Apparently, like later, and I just do that. I'll just leave. Dermophobia, yeah, I got that. It's fear of crowds. I got that. Whenever I'm in a crowd, I do actually feel like that's probably the only phobia that I do have, because I'm not really afraid of a lot of conventional things, but a lot of things that I am more afraid of are very abstract. I'm afraid of the potential that crowds have to turn violent. That's literally what I'm afraid of when I'm in a crowd. Even if we're all having a good time, we're all there for the same reason. Like, what was the concert where like a bunch of people died, like, recently? I'm afraid of that. Like, I'm afraid of shit like that. Because when I was really young, I almost got, like, trampled in a crowd. I was at, like, my mom made me do scouts growing up. I don't know if you all had ever done. We had, like, a big scouts, like, it was, like, a regional thing. Like, it wasn't just our troop. It was like every troop in like a so far general area. And I guess my mom thought that I would make friends. I did not. But I did go through a lot. And yeah, I almost got trampled in a crowd of like hundreds of Girl Scouts. And so now I'm afraid of crowds. Yeah, I just cannot, I am afraid of the potential, like, even unnecessarily, like, just, like, how unrealistic it would be, you know, like, for, like, you to be at a con and it turned violent, you know what I mean? Like, all there for the same reason, you're all having a good time. It doesn't matter. I'm always, like, if someone starts shooting, like, you know what I mean? Like, or something like that, like, in my brain, I'm just like, the probability of someone in this crowd being a totally fucked up psychopath has increased drastically in the past 5 minutes. And I just do that, and I'll like build this up in my head, and then when people walk behind me, I get super paranoid, so I'm like, what do you want back there? What are you doing? You should not be back there. I get that way. Like, I'll get weirdly paranoid when people walk behind me. The Scouts are terrible. If you join Scouts and like it, that's fine. But for me, Scouts was terrible. Yeah, like, you can't see where you're going. You can't always find an exit. And then there's so many people pressing on you that it feels almost like if there was even just a normal emergency. Like, even if someone just pulled the fire alarm. Someone could easily die just from being trampled. People panic, they run to whichever exit, and then, someone trips, falls down, other people don't notice. And even if one person or even two people notice, they can't always get the person up. Because other people just keep coming. They either don't care or they don't see it, so then they keep, and then that can cause more people to fall. It can literally, like, kill people. Just from inducing a mild panic. And that's, like, one of my biggest fears, is being in a crowd, something happening, and it, going downhill, and I can't escape. Because there's a lot less control in a crowd. Like, I can handle, like, a one-on-one altercation much better than I can if there's a crowd of people. Oh, I always mark exits. I do that even when there's no crowd. I'll walk into a room and I'm like, there's the exit. Like, I, mark exits. I mark windows and doors. In restaurants, I always sit facing, toward the door so I can see everybody that walks in, because I'm a total crazy person and I need to be in control of every situation. Yeah, sit in the corner. Sit in the corner. There's my corner crew right there. You do have to have an escape plan. Y'all are smart. See, y'all are the smart people. And, like, I don't know. Nody doesn't get it. Nody doesn't get it. They're just like, have a fun time. It's not going to be, like, too overwhelming. You just do this and do that. And then, or, if this would make you feel more comfortable. And they really want me to go to a con with them because they want to do, like, I think, what do they want me to do? They wanted me to go to divorce court with them. They wanted me to go to a divorce court with them. And I was just like, I'm not great at cons. And if I go do a con, it'll literally be that one event that I'll do for you. I will do that and nothing else. In fact, I probably will not even be able to go into the dealer's room. I'm going to send you with money and then you get anything you think I will like. Because I do not want to go in there. Can you make a Discord server for my TikTok? Sure. I've never really considered making a Discord for my TikTok. Yeah, no, FaceTime works. Yeah, Nody is an extrovert. Or they're like an ambivert, I should say. Because they can, their social battery will go down. And there are times when they were like, I absolutely cannot deal with people. But those where mine will decrease very quickly, theirs has the shelf life of an uncracked soda bottle. It's going to pretty much stay there. It's going to stay there. As long as you don't crack that seal, you're good. You're there. And then there's some people I know that have their social battery has the shelf life of honey. They're never going to run out. They could always do shit with people. They always want to be with people. And when they're alone, they feel scared. And I am the exact opposite. I am the exact opposite. I had a whole dream the other night where I was just like I was dreaming about being in my empty house. That's how much I wanted to be alone. And I woke up and I was like, man, that was the best dream I've had in months. Like, I actually slept long enough to have a dream, and I was so stoked. I woke up, like, convinced, like, no one was going to be in my house. That's how real it was. And then there were people in my house, and I was like, oh. And I actively care about these people. It's still terrible. But I'm just like, man, I really wish you all would leave. Maybe you all could just take a trip without me and leave me here. Same. Like, I literally, like, I've told people since, like, I've told my current partners this. I was like, you aren't competing with anyone else. Like, I hope you know that. Like, there's never ever going to be, like, someone that circumvents you or anything. But you're more so competing with my desire to be completely alone. That is your competition. And because that's what I want most of the time. I'm like, can you leave? Can everybody leave? Yeah, that's my idea of a fun time staycation. Don't go anywhere. You all leave. Bye-bye. Have fun. Go do something super cool for like 2 weeks. You will not hear from me. I will not bother you. But yeah, I don't need hardly any people time. I've told my partners now, like, if they weren't my partners and we didn't live together, we would see each other maybe once a month, if that. Yeah, don't come over. And also, never call me. Never call me. I'm fine with calling people to make them uncomfortable every once in a while, but don't do that shit to me. I can dish it out, but I can't take it, so don't call me. Like, I will not answer. I can't do that. But yeah, so cons are almost out of the question, but I know they really want me to go to a con eventually, and I might. And if I do, I'll announce it. But maybe I won't. Actually, because probably my worst nightmare is someone coming up and like recognizing me. That would probably be my worst nightmare, actually. Don't tell me you know me. If you ever see me at a con, know you didn't and keep walking. We cannot do that. No, tell us. I used to go to cons when I was younger, but I would feel really uncomfortable with the amount of crowds, and I largely went for other people. Like, other people wanted me to go, and I was like, yeah, and I really enjoy, like, getting shit. Like, I enjoy getting things at the con that I can't get anywhere else, or that you would have trouble finding anywhere else. I love that. That aspect is fun to me. But I don't like there being a crowd everywhere I go. I don't like waiting in line. I don't have the great desire to, like, meet people. Like, there's never been a voice actor where I was like, I desperately want to meet them. Which is really funny, because I used to get dragged to parties with voice actors in them all the time. I had friends that worked in guest relations for a few separate cons around my area, and they would drag me to parties all the time with voice actors, and I was like, I can't do that. I'm in my pajamas. One time I actually met Ricky Simmons, the voice of Gurr from Invader Zim, at a party that I wore my pajamas to. Because I refused to change. I was like, I'm not going to a party. And my friend was like, come on, you gotta go. You gotta go. You'll never guess who's gonna be there. And I was like, I don't care. super much. I have a whole jug of wine. I'm not going anywhere, and I'm in my pajamas. And they were like, no, you gotta go. Please take the jug with you. You don't even have to change. I was like, I don't. And they were like, yeah. And I was like, I leave in 10 minutes. And they were like, okay, if you hate it, you can leave in 10 minutes. I swear to shit. But you're gonna like it. You're gonna enjoy it. And I went. And part of my pajamas was just a large like hoodie thing with a hood. And it was just mostly like, it was like being in the robot suit, you know, like the little dog costume suit. And I walk in, and Ricky thought I was crazy, like, because he has a lot of crazy fans, as you can imagine. He told me at one point a fan bit him while he was autographing their merch. So, like, I walk in this Gur hoodie, and he was like, I have to leave, because he thought I was a crazy fan. And I was like, no, I'm barely here. Like, and he talked to me after he realized I was chill, but... Yeah, he gets a lot of crazy fans. If you've seen that show, you understand why. And also the time period was like early 2000s. So you can see why a lot of early 2000s pseudo-emo kids were like, my entire personality is based off of Invader Zim, and Invader Zim was everywhere. So he had a lot of crazy fans, and he thought I was crazy, and then he realized that I was just really tired. And didn't want to be there. Yeah. I left. I had one drink and I left. And funny story, Greg Ayers was the one who made me the drink. The voice actor, Greg Ayers. Yeah, no, I don't do, and that's one of the big reasons that I don't do cons anymore, is because I know I would run into that group of people again. And while, like, I sort of consider them friends, I only really knew them because of, like, the community that I was in at the time that I barely wanted to be in anyway. And, like, it's a big complicated thing, and I love them. They're great people. I just don't want to be around them. They deserve people that like them and want to be around them. Not that I don't like them. Nah, man, God, I'm an awful person. Why are you here? We're gonna read chapter 10. We've had a long enough conversation. I think we're good. I'm sorry. Why am I terrible? What makes me hate everyone? Why do I not like people? Why can't I make friends? I don't even want friends, and still I'm like, part of me still has like that voice in my head that's like, you know what I mean? Like, why aren't you normal? Why can't you just be normal? Just be normal. Just be normal. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't even like people. I don't want friends. I don't know what's going on with me. So this is the closest thing to friendship we're ever gonna have. It's this weird text through screen. I will absolutely let you know what the next book is. The next one actually is going to be the second one of this one. It's going to be Johannes Cabal the Detective is the next concrete book we're going to read. The others are short stories that are in between. We have a couple that we're going to read in between this and that, but they're kind of harder to find. You can get them as ebooks. Normal is a setting on a washing machine. Yes, love it. 9 out of 10 of my friends are text-based only. See, that is the type of friendship that I'm comfortable with. That is legitimately how I like to live my life. I'm super relatable. Thank you. Anyway, we're going to read chapter 10 now. But yeah, I'll let you know when we start the next book. I'll probably create an event for when we do the short stories in the beginning of the second one. So we'll do that. Anyway, chapter 10. in which the carnival reaches journey's end and difficulties present themselves en masse. Francis Barrow folded the last bit of fried bread with his knife and fork, speared it, and used it to mop up the remains of the cooked yolk that had escaped from his poached egg. Placing his cutlery on the greasy plate, he picked up his tea and took an appreciative look out of the dining room window. It was a horribly unhealthy meal, of course, and one his daughter only allowed him to have once a fortnight. A luxury is only a luxury if you don't get it often, he thought, and picked up the local paper. Leonie came in as he read the front page. "Anything exciting?" she asked as she cleared up the table. He sniffed and flicked rapidly through the pages. "No, not really. They're repainting the crossing in front of St. Cuthbert's Primary. There's a beetle drive at the parish hall on Friday, and we're playing Millsby at the weekend, of course." His daughter laughed. "We're playing Millsby?" she said. "When was the last time you wore flannels?" "Ah, well," he said and put the paper down. "Showing moral support, then." "It'll be you and your cronies on the boundary sitting there in deck chairs with a relay of local lads running between you and the beer tent. You're incorrigible." "It's what cricket's all about," he said. He looked at her and could see his wife so strongly in the line of her chin and nose. The tawny blonde hair was all her own, but the way she set her face sometimes. Leonie had just turned 25, the same age her mother had been when they'd married, all those years ago. His smile became sad. There was a slightly frantic knock at the door. "I'll get it," said Leonie, and went out of the room and down the hall. Barrow could hear her speaking to Joe Carleton, who seemed to be busting to tell her something. After a moment, Joe himself came in, the most excited he'd been since he'd almost become mayor 6 years ago. "Frank," said Joe, "you've got to see this. Come on." He did something that looked a little too much for comfort, like capering. "Calm down. You'll do yourself a mischief," said Frank. Joe tried, but he just went pinker. "Now what's all the fuss?" "It's the railway station." One of Joe's legs looked like it might involve him in another caper any second. "What about the railway station?" "It's come back." It was a beautiful morning by anybody's standards. The air was crisp and clear, with birds singing so high in the sky that they were little more than dots. The fields were shocking green beneath the blue vault of the sky, and it was so near perfect it took a little effort to remember that he was going to see something astounding. Carleton had run out of the words very quickly, and now he lived for the look he was sure was going to appear on Barrow's face when they arrived. Barrow was notoriously difficult to surprise, and Carleton was wishing that he hadn't blurted out what had occurred. Still, he hoped the actual sight was going to be astounding enough. They walked down a cobble path that had long been disused, turned a corner by a bridge that stood over nothing, and there it was. "Well," said Barrow. He took out his tobacco pouch and started to fill his pipe. "I'll be buggered." The station was indeed back. The station had been built comfortably over a century before there was even photography to record its newly built appearance. It couldn't possibly have looked so well as it did now. Beautifully painted drain pipes ran down from the eaves of a roof whose slate tiling surpassed mere human precision. A team of 20 master roofers with obsessive-compulsive disorders and micrometer screw gauges could have toiled a year and not even come close to its perfection. Windows so clear that they seemed to actively repulse grease and grime stood exactly and totally framed in a way that no other panes of glass had ever been framed before. A fire bucket depended from a hook by the waiting room door. Never has a bucket been so red. Never has the sand within it seemed so pure, and just that the act of stubbing a cigarette in it would reduce any man to tears. And yet, as Frank Barrow looked at the supernaturally beautiful stub station, he didn't like it. Not at all. It seemed somehow sleek and smug and very, very pleased with itself. Even the illustration of 5 boys on the chocolate machine did somehow unpleasant and unnerving. Then again, it always did. Barrow was still trying to work out how this thing had happened when the door to the station master's office opened and, awfully enough, the station master came out. He saw Barrow and Carlton strode over in natural ebullience and easy manner showing in every step. "Frank!" he called when he was still 10 feet away. He walked over and clapped him on the shoulder. "Have you seen? Isn't it wonderful?" He waved his hand at the station and the bridge, and they'd just come over. Barrow looked back at it and noticed for the first time the tracks that lay there. They were made of some black, dull material and lay upon sleepers of what seemed to be, at first sight, mahogany. Barrow turned back to the station master. "Morning, Wilf. And how are you?" "How am I?" He laughed heartily. "How do you think? Isn't it a marvel? The old station back? No, better than the old station. And look! He stuck his thumbs in his waistcoat pockets and struck a pose. "New uniform! Flash, eh?" Barrow could never remember seeing such a striking cloth. It seemed black with just the faintest hint of gray, like a back-combed mole. "Very flash. Nice to see you so happy, Wilf." "Nice to be happy again, let me tell you. Back in harness, eh?" He laughed as happily as a child. "Marvelous." "Yes," said Barrow evenly. He glanced at Carlton, but he was looking at the station master with an odd expression, like a man who's cracked an egg and found inside a favorite toy soldier that he'd lost when he was 5. "Yes, it broke your heart when they closed down this line and tore up the rails." Wilf's brow clouded. Yes, it was a terrible day." "It's terrible to see a friend go into decline like that. We all rallied around you. You know we did." "Aye, everybody was very kind." "Yes, we were all very upset when you hanged yourself from the bridge." "Aye," said Wilf ruminatively. Then he brightened up. "Anyway, I've got work to do. We've got a train coming in this evening. Mustn't show up the station for our visitors. Morning, Frank. Joe. Drop around when things aren't so busy. Have a cuppa." He turned and walked back down the platform, pausing to wave to them as he went back into his office. "Oh, God," said Carlton quietly. "Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God." "No call for blasphemy. Besides, I doubt very much God's got anything to do with this." But, Carlton pointed at the closed office door. "He's dead." "I know. Looking remarkably healthy on it, I must say." "We cut him down," said Carlton. Barrow took him by the elbow and started to steer him away. "We buried him. You were there, too." He looked for something to put over the finality of death as he'd been led to understand it to date. "There were flowers," he started to mumble. "I was there. Aye, we all were. Everybody liked Wilf. I don't suppose he knows a tramp accidentally burned the station down 10 years ago." He stopped by the timetable board. It was empty, but for a colorful flyer. "Arriving tonight, the Cabal Brothers Traveling Carnival. Be there. Be astounded." "I already am," said Barrow darkly, and led the muttering Carlton back to his house and a cup of strong tea. The hooting started at dusk, a dismal, unhappy sound that echoed from the hills and sent shivers down the spine. It was a faintly pleasant sensation. With no telephone calls or knocks at doors, the town gravitated en masse to the station that hadn't been there as anything more than charred beams and blackened piles of bricks even 24 hours before. In huddled groups, the citizens waited. The hooting came closer, joined by a gargantuan rhythmic snorting and a mechanical clanging of metal on metal. Somebody saw the smoke first and pointed, speechless. The huffing plume grew closer and closer, and the people there didn't know whether to run or to wait. They waited because it was less effort. And then it appeared, a great, monstrous beast of steel and fire. Sparks flew from its smokestack as they once did from the pyres of martyrs and witches, swirling into the darkening sky like fiery gems on deep blue brocade. The train's whistle blew, the triumphant shriek of a great predator that had found its prey. And the hooting grew louder and clarified into a horrid, disjointed tune played upon the steam calliope in the filthy car, and the fifth car a death dance for skeletons to spin and stagger to. The train drew into the station and spat steam across the platform, making everybody skitter away. The engine made a noise that, to Barrow's ear, sounded like a contemptuous "ha!" and then nothing. And the calliope played its tune, the engine panted slowly to itself, and that was it. A few of the braver souls took a couple of steps closer to the cab. Abruptly, a scarecrow lurched out of the shadows and waved at them, grinning crazily. The brave souls traded in their proximity to it for a little more distance and a mental note to change their underwear at the first opportunity. The scarecrow was clearly designed to scare more than birds. It was wearing a singed and filthy pair of overalls and a Casey Jones hat that had seen better days. The hat had a large stain on it that might have been long-dried blood. Its face was a parody of a man, clownish white makeup fixed in place with what seemed to be several coats of varnish. The crowd was just getting the hang of looking at it without fearing for their stomach contents when another one popped up and waved too. This one was obviously meant to be fatter, but the weight distribution was all wrong. It looked like somebody had stuffed its coveralls with balled-up newspaper to pad it out. It had the same insincere and crazed grin on its face, the same sheen of shellac. Worse yet, the hand it was waving with? The left hand was gloved, but ivory bone was clearly visible between the glove and the cuff. Nearby, Barrow, a young boy, asked his mother, "Mum, can I go to the fair?" In the same way he might have asked if he had to go to the dentist. His mother's eyes never faltered from the occupants of the engine's cab, nor did the hard, thin line of her lips soften for a second. "Certainly not." "Oh, Mum," said the boy in a hitherto unknown tone of relieved complaint. Suddenly, everybody's attention was drawn to one of the rear cars. Two smartly dressed men descended to the platform and walked towards them, deep in conversation. As they got closer, scraps of the conversation could be made out. "Morally corrupt! Don't lecture me. Treatment worse than the disease. 2 more days. Johannes Cabal stopped and glared at his brother. "All I'm asking is for you to keep your moral outrage under control for 2 more days. Is that really too much to ask? I have no idea why I agreed to this anymore. I thought nothing could be as bad as 8 years with the Druids, but this last year, if our parents were still alive, well, they're not, and I didn't see anything in the will that gifted you with the privilege of gainsaying my every decision." He waited for a witty comeback, but was disappointed as Horst had just noticed their audience. "Johannes, we are, not alone." Cabal twitched with surprise and looked at the townsfolk. He smiled wanly. Somewhere, a churn of milk went sour. "Not to worry, Dennis and Denzel have been keeping..." Oh, that was Horst. Not to worry, Dennis and Denzel have been keeping them amused," said Horst, and laughed. Cabal scowled. His attempts at preserving Dennis and Denzel had become more desperate over the recent months. Usage of the mortician's arts had been slowly replaced by those of the taxidermist, and finally the carpenter. It was a fraught night when first he had called for varnish and fuse wire. His attempts at cosmetic repairs had been risible, and his next scheme of making them look like clowns, people like that sort of thing, don't they, had been a grotesque disaster at every level, from the technical to the aesthetic, and although he wouldn't admit it to himself, they even scared him a little. "You two," he barked when they reached the car. "Stop gurning like a pair of fools and get back in there." It was unfair to accuse them of pulling faces when they were now the only expressions of which they were capable, but Cabal was long past the point of being fair. Dennis and Denzel withdrew into the shadows of the footplate, grins fixed. Cabal took a deep breath and prepared to patch up the damage to public relations they had doubtlessly caused. Things had been getting hard recently. If he'd known a year ago that he would need only 2 souls to reach his target and had 2 working nights into which to gather them, he would have considered it grounds for optimism. Now, however, he wasn't so sure. Horst had been becoming quite withdrawn and argumentative over the past few weeks. Cabal doubted his brother would actually sabotage his efforts, but there was also the possibility that he might cause problems by withdrawing his assistance at an awkward moment. Worse, though, he had a feeling that Satan wasn't about to let him win his bet just like that. He would have to be on his guard for some dirty tricks being played this late in the game. He turned to the crowd. They were looking at anything from neutral to hostile. This wasn't going to be easy. He gave Horst a sidelong glance to see if he'd speak to the crowd. He was so much better at it. Horst returned his glance, crossed his arms, and looked off into the middle distance. Fine, thought Cabal. I'll do this myself. Oh, I'm out of coffee. Shit. Ladies and gentlemen, he said in a clear, resonant voice, I am Johannes Cabal of the Cabal Brothers Carnival. This, he indicated his brother, who couldn't resist bowing very slightly, is my brother, Horst. We've come here to your pleasant town of Penlow-on-Thirst to... Why have you come here? Asked a middle-aged man. He caught Cabal's eye, and Cabal had an uncomfortable feeling of imminent trouble. To bring you the best in wonder, excitement, and family entertainment, Cabal continued. We have stalls to test the keenness of your eye and the sharpness of your reflexes, sideshows to educate and astound. You've already done enough to astound this town, said the man. There was a mutter of agreement. Cabal looked hard at him. The man wore a dark gray trilby that was not new, but clearly well cared after. His overcoat showed some signs of attention. His trousers sported a sharp crease, and his shoes were polished. His dark hair was graying at the temples, and he had a very sensible mustache, carefully maintained. Cabal would have guessed that he was ex-military. He certainly had the air of authority of a commissioned officer, a company, or a field rank like captain or major. There was a watchfulness in his eyes, though, that was not the product of a life of honest soldiering. Cabal's misgivings deepened. And whom do I have the pleasure of addressing? He asked with politeness, but not enough warmth to thaw a crystal of helium. My name's Frank Barrow. Well, Frank, you can call me Mr. Barrow. Cabal imagined Barrow upside down in a rendering vat and controlled his temper. Well, Mr. Barrow, I'm glad to know that our little carnival has made something of a sensation here already. The two men looked at each other, looks that were on the very borderlands of glares. How, precisely, did we do that? This place, said Barrow, and jerked his thumb at the station. And a fine station it is, too, replied Cabal. He wasn't quite sure where this was going, but it never hurt to flatter the yokels as to how marvelous their lean-to cattle sheds they called their town were. That said, he was quietly surprised by how spick and span the station looked. It was as if it had only been built today. That's as may be. The point is, it wasn't here yesterday. There were a lot of agreeing noises and nodding. Cabal fondly hoped he'd misheard. I beg your pardon? I said this time yesterday, this place was a pile of burnt-out rubble. This line hasn't seen sleepers or rails in donkey's years, and he, Barrow pointed at the station master who smiled and waved, was long dead and buried. Now, what I want to know, and I would guess all these people here would like to know, is how that can be. They all looked at Cabal expectantly. Cabal smiled absently, his brain whirring. This was none of its doing, but why would they believe that? No line? How could their arrival have been planned in that case? Penlow-on-Thirst was clearly marked on the map as an operational station. His smile never wavered as the seconds drew out. He could feel his teeth beginning to dry. There was a cough amongst his audience to remind him that they were waiting, eyes on him. He couldn't think. Penlow was their last possible stop. Their time was almost gone. He had to find two souls here, and now the whole place was set against him. A bead of sweat was forming on his right temple. He could feel it quite distinctly. He needed to think of a reason for the odd goings-on. Now, right this instant. Now! And the instant fled by, and he still couldn't think of anything. He knew damn well who was behind this. Look out for dirty tricks. The dirty deed had been done before they ever got here. He wondered if he could save the box of contracts if it became necessary to leave hastily, pursued by a torch-bearing mob. Torch-bearing mobs move surprisingly quickly, he said out loud. They looked at him oddly. Marvelous, he thought. Why not put ideas in their heads? What my brother means to say is that only a few months ago we made a serious enemy. Horst's measured, reassuring tones immediately started to weave their own brand of magic. People always wanted to hear what he had to say. It would seem that he has reached here before us and intends us to be besmirched by the same necromantic brush as himself, the cur. This, I think, would be the epitome of ironic revenge to this corrupt and diabolical soul. There was some confused murmuring from the crowd. What are you talking about, son? Asked Barrow. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you my brother, Johannes Cabal, Vanquisher. There was a definite capital V there. Vanquisher of the foul wizard Rufus Maleficaris. There was a gratifying intake of breath. Rufus had long been a darling of the tattier newspapers. Even Barrow seemed to have heard of him. Just a minute, said Barrow. I thought Maleficaris was dead. Slain by my brother's own hand in a deadly duel. So how's he doing all this business here if he's dead? A reasonable question, but Horst had always got by in life on 1% perspiration, 99% inspiration. My dear sir, what barrier is death to a necromancer? The gratifying intake of breath was now released as a hateful hiss. Suddenly, Cabal feared Horst was going to expose him. He'd been so distant recently. Rufus Maleficaris, was an evil man. Now it would appear that his malign influence extends from beyond the grave. When we leave here, we shall postpone the rest of our busy schedule to go back to where he hangs from the gibbet and burn his corpse, as we should have done in the first place. Not even a necromancer can survive the purifying flame. There were sage nods from the sort of people in the crowd who always nod sagely when somebody else says something clever. Barrow had an eyebrow cocked as he appraised his intelligence. He wasn't about to fall into the trap that Horst had set. That was left to another. Why didn't you burn him while you had the chance then, eh? He asked Joe Carleton, who could always be relied upon to ask the obvious. Horst spread his hands in supplication. We had the torches lit when along came Maleficaris' mother. He adopted a reedy, aged voice. Please don't burn my boy, she said. He's been very wicked, I know, but he's my own flesh and blood. I don't think I could bear it if you burnt him. Well, I was all ready to burn the evil sod anyway when Johannes, my brother, held back my arm and said, No, Horst, he may have been a necromancer, a murderer, and a thrice-dyed villain, but he was still this woman's son. She's suffered enough, more than enough. Leave him for the crows and let us be on our way. Cabal looked at his feet with pure disbelieving embarrassment. Luckily, it was close enough to humility to pass. So we left old Mrs. Maleficaris sobbing by the feet of her own little Rufus, continued Horst. Please stop, whispered Cabal. This is killing me with humiliation. You think I should skip the bit where you run back and press the whole month's takings on her? If you insist, whispered Horst. Then, louder, so if our crime is that my brother could not bring himself to break the heart of a poor widow any more than her evil son had done, then we plead guilty. He took off his hat and hung his head penitently. There was a pause. Then the crowd went mad. Cabal was bundled up to shoulder height and paraded up and down the platform several times by jubilant supporters. From a harbinger of doom, he had become a conquering hero with a heart of gold. In the space of a few mendacious sentences, such, he mused, is the fickleness of the mob, Horst should run a newspaper. After he had worked up a handful of cramped signing autographs, Cabal happened to notice Barrow standing to one side, arms crossed, watching him. It seemed that at least one person had proved resistant to Horst's public relations exercise. You don't seem impressed, said Cabal. Why should that be? Didn't you hear my brother? I'm a hero. I don't know what you are, said Barrow. Hero? I wouldn't know. Did you kill Maleficaris? Yes, said Cabal. He looked around to make sure nobody was eavesdropping. Yes, I killed him. I shot him 3 times. Why? Why did I shoot him, or why did I shoot him 3 times? I shot him 3 times to make sure he died. I killed him because he was in my way. In your way, if you like. And what did you do with the others? Others? That poor mob of fools he had following him around, the others who escaped from the asylum? Cabal smiled. Have you ever heard of care in the community? You're entirely right, they're harmless. They just needed some direction in life. They're in your carnival. As staff, I assure you. My freaks are all volunteers. The smile slid away into nothing. By and large. Barrow snorted. I understand you. No, you don't. You read between the lines, but what's written there defeats you. Might I make a suggestion, Mr. Barrow? You can always make it. In 2 days, we will be gone from your lives. You can let us do our jobs and bring a little excitement into the lives of the people here, and everybody will be happy. No unpleasantness, no ill feeling. Barrow pursed his lips. If I could really believe that, I'd be delighted to agree. But you can't. But I can't. I don't believe this story about a dead man climbing down from a gibbet just to make a balls of your public relations. Not for one single solitary second. What kind of idiot do you take me for? Cabal tilted his head at the excited townsfolk who were washing up and down the length of the carnival train. That kind of idiot, he said. It's unfortunate for both of us that I'm wrong. Riggers were beginning to unload the flats from the train. Cabal and Barrow watched them. I have a long night ahead of me, Mr. Barrow, and you'll forgive me if I take my leave of you, I'm sure. After Cabal had taken a few steps down the platform, Barrow called after him. I'd be happier if you took leave of my town. Cabal stopped and looked back at him. Your town. You're not your brother's keeper. Remember that. Is that it? No threats? Threats, Mr. Barrow, are the preserve of blowhards and cowards, and I am neither. He walked back to Barrow until they were toe-to-toe. I don't even give warnings. He turned on his heel and walked away. By and large, said Barrow too quietly for Cabal to hear. Then he turned too and walked back towards town. And as the two walked away from each other, they were both thinking exactly the same thing. That man is going to be trouble. Ba-bam. That's the end of chapter 10. What do you think? Are we all together? We're so close, you guys. We're so close. I know. Me neither, T-Galaxy. Oh, man. Oof. Y'all are gonna hate me after this book is over. Yay. Can't wait. Oh, Lucy's been listening the whole time. Oh, that cat. That cat's so pure. Oh. This one. Thank you. I just fucked with the microphone. Sorry if I deafened somebody. I was just like... Probably. Sorry about that, if that happened. You'll see. You'll see. I don't want to spoil it. Oh, thank you for making a Discord. I'll have to check it out. I thought we... You did say not to touch things, and I went, look what I did. I touched more shit. Somebody come get me. Round it up. No. Don't come get me. Nobody come in my house. Spoilers. Yeah, we don't do spoilers in this house. Don't read the Latin. Yeah, no. Oh my god. Yeah, we have about two. Hold on, let's see. Yeah. Three more weeks. Yeah, 3 more weeks. 3 more weeks of book 1. And then, oh no, my battery is running low. What? No. Don't do that. Quit doing that. Why? Okay, hold on. Stop running low. Don't do that. I'm going to plug this in. We're going to... Thank you. There we go. Excellent. Oh, sweet. That way I can find it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I plugged it in. I got it. We've saved it. I have a backup recording going on my laptop right now in case we lose the live. Oh no, the battery. Anyway, I have a backup recording going on the laptop just in case I can't get the live, because I'm pretty sure it was the event schedule thing that was making it like have an error, but I'm not sure. So we're gonna go over a little bit actually so we can talk a little bit longer and see what happens, if it works, if it doesn't. Yeah, no. There's a whole other segment where there's like a whole list of like every Eldritch horror alphabetically or something. I can't remember. It's been a while since I read it. I gotta find it. But yeah, maybe I shouldn't read the Latin. We don't talk about those. Yeah, that went bad. We had internet that time. There was no reason for that, but it kept cutting out. It was terrible. There was no technical reason for that. Like, we had internet. Should have been fine. Besides anime, yeah, it's like in book 4. I'm pretty sure. I love Fear Institute. Fear Institute is my favorite. Just because it's highly reminiscent of another story, and if you know the reference, it's just fun for me. It's fun for me. What fandoms am I in? Oh man. What do I like? I hate it when people ask me questions like that, because then immediately everything I like just flies immediately out the window. And I'm like, have I ever liked anything ever? What do I enjoy? That is a great question. And I don't know. I used to be a fan of Harry Potter before, J.K. Rowling is a TERF. So now it's kind of like largely sucked a lot of my enjoyment out of it and out of the series. I still kind of like the books because they're a point of my childhood. I recognize there are problematic things with the books as well and the way that they're written. And, the character development, there's things wrong and it's problematic. But do I like it? Yes. The character development, there's things wrong and it's problematic. But do I like it? Yes. Yes, I do. But I can separate the art from the artist to only an extent. Yeah, we don't claim her. We don't claim her. Thank you for the compliment on my cosplay. I appreciate it. But yeah, I used to be a fan of Harry Potter, sort of, and I kind of still am, so I guess that's a fandom. What? I don't know. I don't remember. I'd love to answer you. I really would. I like some YouTubers. I'm a fan of some YouTubers. I like Markiplier a lot. I was there through the entirety of Unis Honest. And I like, yeah, I'm in the fandom of cats, actually. Yeah. That is, I do like Pokemon. Yeah, I like Pokemon. I'm still playing Pokemon. I'm playing through Shield. I'm trying to get a Gengar that knows Dream Eater, and I have to evolve this Haunter, or it's gonna, I'm not saying the pun, don't make me, but I gotta get Nodi in the, I gotta go hang out with Nodi next Tuesday and see if they will help me evolve my Haunter, because you have to trade it to get it to evolve, and I don't know people. So this is the first time I've actually been able to get like a whole ass Gengar, because I couldn't trade it for literally my entire childhood because no one was my friend. Yeah, you have to trade a Haunter for it to evolve. So if you don't trade it, it won't evolve into a Gengar. I don't know if it was always that way. I think that at one point it wasn't, but no, I think it always has been. I'm trying to remember because they changed some Pokemon, like how they evolve. They changed some of them, but I don't think Gengar was one of them. I think you've always had to trade it because I don't remember myself having a Gengar as a kid either. I always had a Haunter and never had a Gengar. Never a complete Pokedex. Oh, absolutely not. You have to have friends for that. You have to have friends to trade with, because what was in one version wasn't in the other one. Like the legendaries. Maybe these won't die. I'm so sorry. We are going completely over your head here. Yeah, I never had anyone to trade with. We're talking about Pokemon. Sorry, Simp for Danks. We've moved on. It's Pokemon time. I'm crying alone with Crystal. Oh, no. In Pokemon Go, they say you can evolve Gengar for free if you trade them. I don't do Pokemon Go. Okay, good. At least you know what we're talking about. But yeah, in the games, or not in Pokemon Go, in regular Pokemon games, they come with, they release them in twos. There's two pairing versions, like Sword has Shield. And, Crystal, Diamond, Leaf Red, I had a stroke. Leaf Green, Fire Red, all of them had like Sapphire. They all have a correlating one. And what's in one won't be in the other. So they'll have generations of Pokemon that you can only get if you have like the other version. So there's gaps in your Pokedex. They say collect them all, but you really can't collect them all unless you have a friend or you have both versions. So you have to trade with someone to get the Pokemon that you don't have in the other version. And Gengar and some Pokemon can only be evolved if you trade them. So the idea is that you trade your Pokemon to someone who also needs to evolve their Pokemon or whatever. And then once they evolve, you trade them back. Yeah, you have to get an Alakazam that way too. It's really lame. I want my Gengar. Yeah, no, it is too much. It is too much. If I hadn't been enjoying Pokemon, like, since I was a child, I probably wouldn't be into it. But it's such a big part. Like, I still love it. I don't know what to tell you. I had a Pikachu watch. Like, you remember when they used to sell like a bunch of like different Pokemon novelty stuff? Like you could get a Tamagotchi that was a Pikachu. I had one. And I love that Pikachu. I love every Pikachu. And I had like a Pikachu watch. And I remember like it started dying at one point because it was a Pikachu that would like say like, you know, Pika Pika or whatever the fuck. And it started dying. And when it started dying, it was in my backpack in school. And just this demonic Pikachu voice started exiting my watch in my backpack in the middle of school, and everybody was like, and all these kids were just like, what the fuck is happening over there? And like, I was the only kid who liked Pokemon, so like nobody knew what it was. So all of a sudden this demon voice just comes out of my backpack, and they were like, we knew it. We knew you were a freak. I'm so sorry. Anyway, that was something that happened to me as a kid. But I've always liked Pokemon. I'm used to it. It's fine. Oh yeah, it sounded very much like a Furby dying. Fun story. I also had a Furby that I was playing hide and seek with or something, and like it was me and my brother at the time. I was hiding it, and then he was finding it, and like, you know, the thing. And I hid it up in the bathroom. Like we had like a bathroom light fixture that had like a shell over it, and the top was like, you know, where you screwed in all the light bulbs. And so I just set the Furby in there, and I didn't think about it. And then we forgot about the Furby and we played something else. And forgot the Furby was up there. And the Furby fused to the light bulb in that light fixture and started dying and also catching fire. So I set a small fire as a child unintentionally. And you could hear the Furby dying too. So like the voice slur started happening and the fur was singeing off and you could smell it. It smelled like burnt hair. And so we were just playing something else. And I think we must have had like music playing or like a TV on or something, because we didn't hear it dying until we smelled it. And so we were both sitting there and he was like, what smells bad? Like, and I was like, what do you mean? And we were talking about it and he was like, hold on, what's that sound? And we like turned whatever it was we were doing off, and we just hear our demonic Furby dying. And my mom who was on the other end of the house, like comes down and she's just like, what is happening over here? And we were like, and she ends up finding this Furby a few minutes later and pulling this burnt mess of like, it was on fire. So she's like patting it and smacking it until it goes out. It wasn't a large fire. It was a small fire. I want to preface that. And she was like, who killed this Furby? And it's just me like, that's how I set my first fire. Fun story. Well, it's not really fun, but it's a story. Yeah. And it sounded real crazy too as it was dying, so I think that did not help matters. We were just both like, what is that? And we didn't recognize it as the Furby for a while. We were just like, because it sounds terrible. If you've never heard a Furby die and you're just not, like, we just forgot we were playing with it. So, like, we just left it up there. We didn't know. My mom's died and came back to life 13 years later when I found it. Oof. No, that I do not want. Ours never came back to life. Burn the zombies. That's the solution. You gotta burn them. And now you know. Oh, yeah, be glad. Be glad you did not have one of those things. And technically, the Furby wasn't mine. It was my brother's. I didn't really get shit like that. So he was kind of pissed at me for a few weeks. Because I burned his Furby. I cremated his Furby. You were never allowed to either. Yeah, no, don't worry about it. You missed out on nothing but terrible. The thing is like, yeah, he quit playing hide and seek in the middle, and he was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then, like, I was like, fine. And so, like, I didn't think about, like, the like, where I had set it being a problem, because I was a child and I had very little object permanence. So I was just like, it's fine. Like, yeah. That's the point of playing hide and seek with the thing. Someone's supposed to find it. He didn't finish the game. Therefore, he lost his toy. It's not my fault. Aw, you have to go. Good night. I'm glad you joined us. You still don't have any? You had one? Aw, man. They're not... I don't know how we let it happen in the 90s and everybody was just like, yeah, you know what? This sounds like a good idea. How did no one stop and like was like, hey guys, you think this is sort of strange? No one stopped to think about it. You murdered yours. I kind of murdered mine. I didn't mean to. It was an accident. It was more like manslaughter. Furby slaughter. It's a step down from murder. It was an accident. Mine, like, well, it wasn't even like technically mine. It was my brother's, because my brother got all the stuff. I didn't get a whole lot of stuff, but I killed his Furby, so maybe they were just afraid I would break stuff. I don't know. Involuntary Furby slaughter, yeah, exactly. Accidental toy slaughter. Yeah, kind of. But anybody that didn't have a Furby, you didn't miss much. In fact, I would say you've actually benefited more from your childhood than if you had had one. You just missed out on just that little bit of, like, horror novel. I feel you. Trust me, you didn't miss much. It's a bad idea. Furbies are terrible. Yeah, there needs to be like a support group or something for children who own Furbies or were associated in any way with Furbies. I feel like we're owed financial compensation at the very least, you know? Have you or a loved one ever... No, anyway. Yeah. This conversation has devolved fast. Anyway, I could suppose you could say that I'm definitely not in the Furby fandom, so I'm not involved with that. Oh, weird note. I do like wrestling. Yeah, that's what Tattletale is. I love watching people play that game because it does get the mood right. Yeah, their eyes, they're just like they're weird. And like when they would start to break down, they would like they were supposed to like wink as like a function, but it would like shudder. It was like no. I'm glad you're laughing. Are they not? I thought Tattletale was like what? Either way, they got the mood down. That's correct. I'm so glad. Just don't feed them after midnight. Yeah, chapter 9 is terrible. I'm glad it made you laugh, if anything, because that's the only benefit of chapter 9, in my opinion, is if it made someone laugh. Because the comprehension there is just... Because it was like, they wanted the ambiance of being in it from like the child's mindset, which I get, which is an interesting perspective, but the way it was implemented, you know what I mean? Jonathan Howard really just tried to dumb it down. Oh, Lucy's disappointed in me. No. Oh no. Don't rewatch it. Oh no. That's not going to be fun for you. I don't know, maybe it is. If you're the kind of person that just takes real joy in gutting a person, this live is for you. If you like cringe content, this is the real cringe content. Oh my god. I'm sure his editor was like, so is this intentional or it is? Okay. So are we even going to try, or should I segment this? Is there going to be a line break? Okay. Line breaks, but except if it's on the opposite page. You got it. So they just won't know that the perspective's changing when they change that page. Okay, yeah, okay, cool. No, that sounds great. I redeemed myself during chapter 10. Are we fighting in my chat? What are you guys doing? Don't fight my chat, please. I am really interested to see if this one works. Because I gotta say, I have the backup recording, but if anything goes wrong, I'm not sure I can re-record 9. I'm just not sure. You know what I mean? All the other ones, just a factor of having time to do them. Chapter 9 now. Oh, okay. I will definitely not forget to eat. Trust me. It's on my radar. So, actually, I'm not sure what I'm... No, I think I know what I'm going to eat. Yeah, I think I got a good idea. I know what I'm going to eat, and I'm going to eat after this live. Don't worry. But yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to re-record chapter 9 if anything happens to this one. I'd re-record 10. I'd be like, look, you just gotta go read it. You had sushi and forgot to eat it? What? Crime. Straight to jail. No. There's a couple of options. One, I know I have a salad in there. 2, I'm pretty sure there's ham in there. So I might make a ham sandwich. But I'm not sure. I think I'm leaning towards ham. I also want sushi. Maybe I'll order sushi. I wonder, oh no. Oh, I just remember my favorite sushi place is now completely demolished because of the tornado. Man, I forgot about it. I can't believe I forgot that. That's so terrible. Hello. So glad you're here. Man, you came in at a weird time. Yeah, I just remembered. I was like, oh no. They were on 31. 31's gone. 31's gone. My favorite shop is also gone. Where I get a majority of all my incense and candles from. It's gone. It's gone now. It was a metaphysical shop. It's gone now. And I'm so bummed. I think they can run their business out of their house, though. They had a lot of stock. Like, it was like a local owned place. And they do online ordering, I think. So I think they might be fine. Like, they're probably going to rebuild. I do not know about some of my favorite restaurants now, though. Because a lot of them are gone. Well, my favorite Mexican place is gone. And my favorite place to get sushi is gone. And I think my vape shop is gone. So this is going to be a huge problem in about another day. I'm really hoping so. I really hope they might rebuild eventually. They're still clearing away rubble. There's still people without power. We're lucky we got ours on back so quick. I honestly thought it would take longer to get internet and power and everything. I was short up with candles for this exact eventuality. Well, not like tornado, but just like the event of losing power for several days. I thought it was going to be the apocalypse. It wasn't. It was a tornado. That's fine. But tornadoes, man. I actually had to go to part of one of the demolished neighborhoods the other day, and it's just wild. There's just rubble in the streets. You have to keep finding like a workaround, like to drive a different way. Because they haven't even gotten to clear off all of the streets yet in some places. There are some places that are still maybe have like bodies in them because they haven't even been cleared off yet. Most of the streets have been cleared off, I will say. So the likelihood of, well, I don't know. But a lot of people lost their lives. A lot of people lost their livelihoods. And a lot of people lost their homes. So, and it's pretty crazy. I wanted to update you guys because I know I took a video in the tornado, but I really didn't want to ride around town with my camera phone out, like snapping pictures of destruction. Something about that to me just seems so like callous. You know what I mean? And I don't want to be that asshole that goes, even if it's my own neighborhood, like I'm sure my neighbors know it's me. They see me run around here like a freaking maniac every once in a while in a light up vest to exercise. But I just don't want to, I thought about it and then I was like, I don't want to take pictures of my, I just, Danky's Last Brain Cell did post one. My partner posted that. And yeah, it really is that bad. It's pretty, the bank is what got me. I was like, how am I gonna get my money? And that shouldn't be my first concern. But when you're without power and all your food is gonna spoil and you're like, okay, I'm going to have to eat out for a while in the places that are still there, and you don't have cash, or like nothing has power and you need cash and you can't get it, out of the bank account, you're like, oh, this is a problem. You know what I mean? So they did. There's a truck. There's a truck at the PNC. It's like a mobile PNC thing. And you can go to that and withdraw it. And they had that set up quick. So that actually helped a lot, because for a moment I was like, yeah, eating is necessary. And when you're sort of faced with the reality of like, oh, everyone I know, like, loosely, is probably not going to have power for a while. And our food is going to spoil. So we can cook what we have right now because we have gas. We could cook what we had then, and like, you know, the stuff that we could do. And ate that, but then when you kind of look at the thing and you're at things and you're like, well, we're going to be without power for a while, probably, and no one else has power. And they can't run credit cards, so you have to pay in cash in the businesses that are still standing, and you don't have cash, and you're like, oh, you know, so I got kind of nervous there, but they set up a mobile one, it's fine. I don't know how long it's going to take for them to completely rebuild the bank, you know what I mean? Hi, thank you. Yeah, no, I do have to eat. I don't eat a whole lot, but I do eat. And, man, I wonder if I'm kind of bummed about the sushi thing now. I'm kind of sad. I am also glad I am safe. We were worried. I was driving in it. I was in the car going down the road. No, don't feel bad. You can't control that. I know. I'll find a new one. The thing is that I have such unlucky, like, relationship with sushi places. And, yeah, I was driving in a tornado. Yeah, I was driving. Well, right now, I'm going to school to be something else. But well, I suppose I can tell you, I am going to school to be, a mortician. And right now, I'm a delivery driver to pay my bills and, you know, keep me afloat while I go back to school. And so, yeah, I was a delivery driver. It was a weekend. That's where we make the bulk of our money. So I was driving in a tornado. I was driving in a tornado. It is. And that's the reason for my username, Anxious Undertaker. Yeah. That's why. But that's why I have brains in jars. Not specifically for that. I just collect, like, oddities and turn-of-the-century medical equipment. Anyway. I got a really cool needle. Anyway. It's fine. Never mind. Don't worry about me and my weird turn-of-the-century medical equipment rant. But, yeah, that tornado, I was driving in it because I was at work. And I was making deliveries. And I had made a delivery. I knew we were something, because you can smell it. If you've lived in areas where tornadoes hit, you can smell it. The air changes. Feels different. Feels hot and then kind of cold. And then you're like, fantastic. And you can smell it on the wind. It's weird. So I was making a delivery and I knew it was going to get bad when I was standing in front of this dude's house in an area that was in fact hit by the tornado. And I was standing on his porch. And this was about maybe an hour or so before it hit. I was standing on his front porch and the wind was blowing behind me, and it was kind of warm, and like it had been an unseasonably warm day for December. Like, so it was about 50 degrees or so. And it was kind of like unseasonably warm. So, and then all of a sudden, this wind blew behind me and it was freezing and I smelled it. And the dude that I was delivering to was like, his demeanor changed and he was like, "You better get out of here." And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "I don't need any change." I was like, "Cool, man." And I grabbed the money and I ran back to my car and I got in my car and I went back and I was like, Storm, we're gonna storm. And, my manager was like, yeah, he's like, "I feel like that is," and I was like, "You think it's gonna be bad? Because I feel like it might be bad." And he was like, "I don't have any news yet. It says it's supposed to rain." And I was like, "Okay." And he was like, "For now, keep delivering and we'll update you as the time comes." And I was like, "All right." So I keep delivering all the way up until it starts hailing. And that's when I knew. I was like, yeah, no, it's bad. I need to get back. And I remember it was hailing at the trailer park that I was in. And I was going to get back to my car, and that's when I heard the sirens. And it was, well, like, sirens were going off before that, but it wasn't too bad. They were cutting out. And then I heard, like, klaxon, like, siren on siren. Like, it was 3 layers of overlapping sirens. And I was like, oh, I have to go. And I looked out in the distance. There's like a part in this trailer park where it's sort of like you're kind of on a hill and you can look out over the horizon over a vast like area of land. And I could see the funnel. And I was like, oh, no, we got to go. And the wind is like, and it sounds crazy. And so I like booked it back to the shop, and I get out of my car and my manager's running out of the building. And I was like, "I'm not driving anymore." And he was like, "I was going to tell you to stop driving. Get in the restaurant." And I get in there. And we all pile in the bathroom, and then the power went out and the ground started shaking. We were like, this is it. And I was like, "Look, hey, I gotta be real with you. I don't want to die in an unnamed pizza restaurant chain here, but if I do have to die in an unnamed pizza chain restaurant, I don't want to do it by the toilet. Can I get up?" And he was like, "Okay. You do what you want." And I was like, "Okay." So I got up and we made it, but our power was out. Our power went out. We had to literally just leave the shop as it was. We couldn't clean or do any of our normal closing stuff. He was like, "I can't even cash you out, so we don't even know how much you made." So what we ended up doing is just putting all the money that we had on our person into an envelope with our name on it and sealing it in his office, and then putting it in our belonging, like, and taking it home with us, and he would count it later. Oh yeah, I'm well aware that I could have died, and I was trying to reach my partners who were in the house, and I was like, "Are you all like okay?" And it was sending, but they weren't receiving it. Like, you could see the little dot, like on Facebook Messenger, where it's like, it shows that you've sent it, and it has like the check mark, but it doesn't show that they've read it. And I was like, freaking out's not going to accomplish anything. But do I want to do it? Kind of. Yeah. And then I finally got, like, I got, like, the messages started coming through, and my partner was like, "Where are you? Are you driving? You're not on the road, right?" And I'm like, "Well, I actually just got off the road. But no, we're not driving anymore." Yeah, no, I'm not sort of I'm a really calm person in a crisis, actually. I get really exuberant when I'm talking about, like, you know, stuff with you and on here and a lot, but most of the time, I'm very deadpan. So, like, at one point I remember I was standing in the shop, Nodi's in the shop, and we worked together, by the way. I don't know if you knew that. Nodi's standing in the shop next to me, kind of freaking out, and they were like, you know, like, and I was like, well, I just realized I left my bag in the car, and it's hailing, like, coming down, and I was like, I gotta go get it, and Nodi was like, you're just gonna go out and get it? It's hay, and I was like, yeah, I got to, man, and I was like, I'm pretty sure they want to be able to ID my body, so I'm gonna get my wallet and go get my ID. I'll be right back. And Nodi was like, I was like, I mean, I'm sure it'll make it easier for them if I die, you know? Yeah, it was extremely calm. Like, I don't know why everyone else was freaking out. And they had gone out into the street to try and, like, see if they could move this trailer that had landed in the opening so emergency vehicles could get by. Someone's roof was in our backyard. And I was just like, so this is the tornado. Like, and I rewatched it back. I was like, wow, I just should not be allowed. Why am I allowed? I feel like that's a normal response to get really dramatic. And I don't. I get calmer. Like, I'm more dramatic and like, when I'm just talking with people that are, like, giving me feedback. But when people are actively panicking, I do the opposite. I'm like, we don't have time for this. Like, I don't know. I didn't even freak out afterwards. Like, I'm not normally the type of person to, like, freak out. Most of the time that I freak out and I get really dramatic, it's mostly for show. Like, it's for someone else to feel comfortable. And I don't have any reason for that other than, let's just say my mom always wanted me to be more of a present Mike, and I never was. So every once in a while, I unintentionally put on a show for people. Yeah, I'm just like, all right, it's done. We've cleared the gap here, and we're gonna move on to this next thing. But yeah, it was a pretty crazy interlude there. So I probably should have freaked out. Maybe I'd feel better if I did. I don't know. But yes, the mask. Yeah, that's it. But yeah, I know we lost a lot of stuff. We lost, there was like a water park area, like with a small water park. It's not like a big water park. We don't live in that kind of city. It was just like a little piddly thing with like a couple of slides, you know. It's like a pool. It's a public pool that people can pay to get into, to go to the thing. And we had a neighborhood around it. And, more than half of that neighborhood is complete rubble now. And some of it, that's the area where a lot of it isn't cleared off yet. Like, you can't get through. Through most of the neighborhood you can, but there's like a surrounding area that's a little bit more like sparsely populated, and it doesn't have any entry going into it or out of it. It's like the water park is sort of like a triangle shape, and there's an entrance on this side and an entrance on this side, but back here there's sort of not. And so that's gone like largely like uncordoned yet, and they're still working on it. But so many people over there. And I was worried, like, genuinely worried that if nothing else, we're going to lose the house. Like, we're going to lose this house. This house was going to be gone. I was going to come home, and this house was going to be partially collapsed. Like, our roof was going to, but I do remember Neiman. But yeah, I was convinced that I was going to come home to something being terribly wrong. And when I didn't, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, well, this is better than I expected. And I'm like, this should not, the crisis is still happening. Like, you can't, what's wrong with you? But the house was fine. I feel really fortunate. And my partner even said, like, the other day, that they feel guilty that we still have the house because so many of our neighbors don't have a house, or their house has been condemned. Yeah, but, like, literally that was the worst I could have came home to, was my partners are dead and my house is gone. That was the worst that could happen. So, like, in my mind, when I got home and I could see that the building was still intact and my door flew open, and my partner, like, leaned their head out and they were like, get in the house. I was like, oh, good, excellent. This is going well. And they feel guilty that we even have a house. I was like, look, I mean, parts of the street still have houses. Like, they probably feel the same way survivor's guilt is a thing. I don't know what I would have done. Well, actually, I do know what I would have done, because one of my partners asked, and I was like, I'd plan your funeral. And he was like, what? And I was like, that's what I would do almost immediately. You telling me you wouldn't expect me to do that? I have a clinically, like, geared mortician's brain. I'm immediately going to try and solve every problem. I'm not going to break down. And he was like, you wouldn't cry? I was like, oh, probably not. Probably not for ages. Because I'd be worrying about everybody else crying. I would be dealing with my other partner, who definitely would be sobbing. I would be dealing with your mom, who would definitely be sobbing. And if they're sobbing, I'm not going to be. I'm going to get on the phone, and I'm going to immediately call your life insurance company. That would probably be so suspicious, too, though I'd probably wait on that. Because I'm sure they're just, no one's ever ready for the logician. You know what I mean? Like, they think we're cold. I don't know if it's called being in shock or just being logical, but, like, that's the way my brain works, is whenever anything happens, I'm like, I'm going to solve this problem immediately, so I do not have to wait until later. Cracks knuckles. Yeah, like, I'm going to solve it. We're going to get it done. We're going to get it done together, and it's going to be okay. Like, that's my reaction. Instant. Business first. Yeah, business first is literally how I react. Would I cry? Oh, definitely. I periodically, I schedule all my mental breakdowns. Okay. And people think I'm crazy for doing that. Mostly because a lot of people can't. But I am one of the fortunate few that can just, like, time that shit. I'm like, oh, we can't deal with this right now. We're going to do this at 9 p.m. on Wednesday. Okay? That's when we're going to start. Okay? Good. Gucci. Put that down in the calendar. I plan that shit out. I go in. And the way I do it is I put my headphones in. And I put in whatever the music selection of my choice takes me to at the time. And then I start planning everyone I know's funeral. And that is how I begin my breakdown. I'm sure that sounds nuts to anybody. But I'll, like, write the eulogy, and I'll think about what they want, they've told me they want done. Whether it's, like, passing fancy sort of thing, like, I want to be shot out of a cannon, or, like, anything. And like, I know for sure that one of my partners definitely wants to be a coral reef in Florida, and I got that planned out. And the other one wants to be shot into space. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to have him cremated, and then I'm gonna have it preserved in like a pod tube or something. And then I'm gonna wait until that just becomes a thing, and then I'm gonna shoot him into space. I'm sure that'll become a thing in the future. Either way, he's getting to space. And I just plan everyone's funeral, exactly what I'm going to do for them and how it's going to be done and if there's going to be a memorial service. And I conclude it with the eulogy. And the eulogy is where I always start crying. And that's when I need to cry and can't. Most of the time, that's the situation, is I need to cry and can't. I'll go write someone's eulogy. I'll pick the person, and then I'll just run through their funeral, and then I'll make up a faux eulogy. It's terrible. It's always, heart-wrenchingly terrible. And I write the eulogy. Sometimes I keep them, sometimes I don't, and sometimes I pace around and cry. And that's how I break down. Green burial is a favorite option of mine, actually. And yeah, you have to have like a specific, like there's specific cemeteries that offer them. And a lot of the time they're more expensive, which is crazy. It should cost less money fiscally. But green burial, that normally, when you are buried, they preserve you in formaldehyde and a mixture of cocktails. And they make sure that you're going to stay intact for as long as you're capable of doing so. And they put you in a heavily manufactured and varnished box, and then they put you in the ground, right? And a lot of the time, that ground is also encased in a vault and concrete. It's heavily impactful on the environment. We're actually running out of land because so much of our land in the U.S. is cemeteries. Also in the U.S. is you stay in the ground. You're there forever. A lot of other places don't. They inter you for a little bit of time, and then you're like, all right, your lease is up, and they boot you and then put a different corpse in there. But not us. In the U.S., it's here forever. Pretty much. So we're running out of land vastly. So green burial is, one, letting you decompose the way you're meant to. Just like an animal that's died in the woods, say. Now, what we normally do for a green burial is, one, there are no vaults in the ground. There's nothing in the ground. It's just dirt. It's you dug in some dirt and you are ready to go. Or sometimes they might treat the ground with fertilizer and stuff to enhance the oxygenation of the soil to help you degrade faster, a little faster sometimes. And you're either buried in a shroud or just as you are, or in a natural wood coffin that's not been treated, or something that can grow into something else. And they let you break down naturally. That's green burial. And honestly, it's way better for the environment. And it should be cheaper because you're not buying like a $5,000 casket. It's not polished. It's not teak. It's not, they didn't treat that, it's just already adding that document. Yeah. Oh, that's so nice. They had a green burial next to each other. The more you learned about traditional embalming, the more you hated it. Yeah. Trocars are still technically used. Yeah. Wait. Yeah. If get an advance directive, keep that on you for if you die younger, especially if you die in this country as trans. and I'm going to repeat this to every trans person out there. If you're trans or non-binary and you don't want to be mistreated in your death, get an advance directive. Get someone that you trust to enforce it. Add that to your documentation. I don't know. I wasn't able to go back far enough and I missed some of the conversation. But yes, add that to your documentation. Very important. Look out for yourself. Because a lot of people don't know, like, you're next of kin. If you don't leave anything telling them what you want done with your stuff, with your body, with your plans, your next of kin can do whatever they want, including stuff that you don't approve of. So say you're atheist and your increasingly Christian parents, when you die, decide that they're going to bury you in a cathedral and with a picture of Jesus, and they're going to put you in a Catholic funeral, in a Catholic cemetery, and they can do all of that. They can make any of the decisions because you didn't leave anything saying that they couldn't. You have no rights. You're dead. Your body belongs to your parents if they're your next of kin. If you have a partner, then your partner becomes in control. If you're married, I should say, you have to be married. You can't just be a common law married. You have to be married. And also, they just get your body. They just get it. You can just have it. In fact, there's several cases, especially in like other countries, they have a larger problem with this than I will say the US does, because the US, we're so removed from death as an entity. We have facilities for that. We send our relatives to facilities to die. We send them to hospitals where they die cold and alone. We have nursing homes where they die cold and alone. We don't take care of our elderly. And that's mostly who dies, is the elderly. Unless it's an accident, you're pretty much dying alone in a facility with some nurse that you don't know. And then when you die, a lot of the time they just transfer you directly to the funeral home of your choice or your family's choice. Your family doesn't even see you. But in other countries, they do have instances where they'll take the body home. And did you know it's perfectly legal to do that in the US? You could just take the body. You don't have to send it to a funeral home. You just be like, yeah, I'll come pick it up in an hour. And you can have your own memorial service. Forget going to a funeral director or a funeral home and spending a bunch of money to rent a room for other people to come see your dead body and have them embalm you. You don't have to be embalmed. Not unless you're crossing state lines anyway. You can just have a memorial service in your house for free. Turn the AC on high. Get some ice. But other than that, I was in the room when my grandmother died. I wanted to be with her. But yeah, and that's admirable, because a lot of people aren't there when their relatives die. And even then, when they die, like, they're like, okay, time to get rid of this body. Like, no one takes the body with them. They don't go to, That's so tough. You had to wait for your mother and then buried her in the tree. Yeah, also, if you own your own property, like, if you own your property, you can get buried on your property. Now, if you don't own it, if you rent, you can't do that. That's a crime. But if you own your own land, you can just be buried on the property. Doesn't matter. You don't have to be buried in the cemetery. Don't have to. Which I think is really cool. But a lot of people don't know that. They think you have to do that. Because we've done things in a certain way for so long that people just assume it's a rule. It's not. Now that is a thing. You do have to call a city ordinance to make sure they test the ground. Because in cases like that, yeah, it has to be a certain amount away from water. What's going on? Who's sending you what? Oh, I also watch Ask a Mortician, and I've read every single book they've ever read. Ooh, you know who you might like? If you like Ask a Mortician, look up, I can't go over there, I'm wearing a mic pack. Look up Mary Roach. Look up Mary Roach, look up Spook. That one's more of the metaphysical side of things, like... It's kind of fun. It's fun. You'll like it. I think. You should like it. Also, there's another one that Mary Roach did, I think. Unless it's a different author. I think it's Mary Roach. But Stiff is also a good one. That is a good like compilation of things that you can have done to you after you die. It's like not a super deep dive, but a medium-sized dive into donating your body to science. Just all the options, I guess. It's really fun. Mary Roach, yes. Super fun, I will say. And just one of my favorite authors. I read a lot about death. Also, there's another one that I just read the other day. I think it's called The Art of Dying. I'll have to look it up. I'll give you the rank next time if I got it wrong. If it's wrong, but I'll let you know next time for sure if that's what it's called. Because I can't see it from here, and I know it's because there's a book jacket hanging in front of it. I can see where it's at on the shelf, too. Yeah, thank you. They're little coffins, in case you didn't notice. But yeah, if you like to read and you like Ask a Mortician, you might enjoy those books. And also, her books are really good. If you haven't read her books, Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs is a little bit more juvenile because it is geared towards questions that children ask about death, but still super good. If you've ever wanted to explain death to a child and didn't know how, it's a good foray into doing that. Yes. Librarians in the chat. Ah, yes. I love librarians. What? Who's texting me? Oh, I can't read all of it. No? Okay. It is. It's very unapproachable, especially in the US. Wait, what? Librarian is a dream job. In fact, that is kind of a dream job. If I weren't dead set on being a mortician, I would love to be a librarian. Honest, no. Because I love to read. That's like my number one hobby other than like running and riding my bike and stuff. That would be my number one thing. The kid-friendly death book. It is. I'm not lying about that. It is a good, because it's all like questions that kids would ask. My favorite was like, if I put popcorn kernels inside my stomach, if they cremate me, will I make popcorn? The answer is no, you won't. But if my mom was trying to send me to a mental hospital, my mom did try to send me to a mental hospital, and succeeded twice. When you're a minor, there's very little you can do about it. Pretty much, you have to trust the psych eval. If you're not mentally ill, the psych eval should not get you in there. If you are mentally ill, maybe you do need to be there, but a lot of the time, the care isn't always great. What I did was, when I was there, fake my way out. be on your best behavior. Don't get riled up. Don't argue. Do everything that you're told, and tell your doctor that you feel fine. If you really just want to get out, that's how you do it. Tell everybody that you're feeling fine. You don't feel depressed. You don't feel anything. You're happy. You don't understand why you're doing that, and that's fine. You can do that if you need to get out. Especially if you're being committed against your will and you don't think, but a lot of the time you're being committed because your parents feel like there's a reason for it. And a lot of parents mean well and care about you. Mine didn't, but a lot do. And if you think you're depressed and need help, and you don't trust the facility to do that, talk to them seriously about getting a therapist that you vibe with. And be like, I don't like this therapist. I think I need to see a different therapist. And can I please have a little bit more control in who I talk to about this and that and the other. That'll really help if you can. If they're understanding. If they're not, sometimes you suffer through it. I did. And it's kind of hard. I'm your therapist. I don't think I'm accredited to do that. You should find a therapist that is definitely credible. I'm not. But yeah, try and find a good therapist if you can afford it and go. I have a therapist. I see my therapist on Thursday. We changed the days. But I see my therapist every Thursday. But when I was a child, I largely didn't have control over it. I went and saw a therapist my mother liked that I did not like, that I had no control over who I saw or talked to about my problems. And a lot of the time they would go and tell my mom, because this was back in the 90s when nobody gave a crap about children's rights and patient confidentiality when it came to underage children. It was a complicated time. It was a bad time. And I don't know if that's still a problem because I'm an adult, but when I grew up, I had a thing about therapy for a long time, and I didn't want to see one because I thought all therapists acted the way that I had become accustomed to them acting in the facilities where I was institutionalized and the therapist my mother wanted me to see. And I did not like that. And then when I finally found a therapist that worked with me and for me, changed my life. That's what got me to start cosplaying. My therapist is responsible for all of this. This content is only available to you because of my therapist. So you have my therapist to thank. Thank you, Leanne. She's not watching this. The 90s. Yes. Yeah, my therapist is largely to blame for this. I don't know, they did some sort of therapy thing, and all of a sudden I could feel every time I made my face be fake. And I can still do it, but it hurts when I do it for a long period of time now. Where I used to do it every single day, all the time, and it started hurting. It would give me headaches. And I was like, I don't understand why I'm getting all these headaches. And they were like, because you're trying to be a person that you're not. And I was like, but I don't like the person I am. And they were like, well, maybe you should. And they encouraged me to like myself. And when that didn't work, they were like, what is a character you think is a lot like you, but that you like? At least moderately. And Shinsou was at the top of the list. And she was like, if you don't like yourself, try being Shinsou. And maybe one day you'll like yourself a little bit more. And I do. Actually, it did kind of work. No, I have my therapist for that. We just talked about this, my guy. So yeah, and that's how I started cosplaying. We're getting deep this week, y'all. We're really getting to know each other, asking all the hard questions. But no, I actually feel a lot better now after I've done that. So if you or anyone else you know is having a hard time, thank you for the roses. I really encourage you to go get a therapy. Get help. Talk to someone you can trust. Even if they're not a therapist, you can't afford a therapist. Someone that you can trust. Talk to them. Oh, don't cry. Shit. Oh, fuck. I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, things are a lot better for me. And I'm glad this is an intelligent conversation for you. I feel like the amount of intelligent conversations that I have throughout the week, Tuesday is probably the most productive for that. Every other day of the week is in a steady decline. And that is super hard. And I do think that you should look into getting a therapist if you can. If you can't, maybe it's time to meet some people. Even if you never get to meet them. Even if the only people you vibe with are people in this chat or people you meet online. You can find a community. Sort of. Pseudo. And sometimes that's hard. Maybe, it's a little bit weirder for me because a lot of the time I feel like I'd probably be a whole lot better if I never had to talk to anyone again. And I used to think that that was a problem, like a really big problem. Like I was like, I need to like people. I need to. That's how most people are. Am I not human? What's wrong with me? Yeah, see, there's so many people on Discord. There's so many Discord servers. Find a group with a fandom. Find a person that you like in that Discord server. I know I'm not on Discord a whole lot, but I have a couple different Discord servers that I think I'm in where I do vibe with one or two people, and which is not a lot of people, but like when we're having a bad day, we have like a specific, I think there's one Discord I'm in where we have a specific page for like if you need help or if you need someone to listen to you. And it's just people go in there and they're like, I've had the worst day, my dog died, and I just need someone to talk to about it for 5 minutes. And that is like the express purpose of that thread. Well, man, keep posting things on TikTok. Yeah, see, I love those. There's always like a good server for like, I need to vent, or like I need somebody to talk to, and that's completely okay. Do your funky selves, man. If you need someone to talk to, you can always find it. If nothing else, you can call the suicide prevention hotline. I don't recommend that though, but I mean, obviously, if you're in a beat, do it. But it's kind of gotten to the point where it's sort of like the American Red Cross sort of esque institution where they're like, we're helping from 20 feet away. And you're like, cool. Great help, guys. Like, it's help, but it's like, you're going to have to try harder. Sort of, it's not help. It's, oh, and how did you get here? Was it you? Kind of help. It just feels kind of condescending. I think there was a case a few years ago where there was someone who called the suicide hotline, and the person on the other end of the line told them to do it. And that's what I'm talking about, if you don't know what I'm talking about. Warm lines? What's that? Educate us. If you don't mind. You are under no obligation to, but I would appreciate it. Have you tried diet and exercise? Yeah. No, I definitely haven't. I've never heard of those two things before. Yeah, like that's what I mean, is it's help, but it's not help. It's help in quotations. Have you tried diet and exercise? No, I'm mentally ill, Sharon. What do you mean? if at any point, like, if you even can't afford a therapist, it's worth splurging just for the psych eval to get pills if you need to. If you really need to. Especially if you're depressed. I don't think you have anxiety. You don't get to tell me what I do and don't have. Don't gatekeep mental illness. No. Good. Hopefully not opiates. You just said pills. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's good to be on at least medication, especially for depression or anxiety. And honestly, I'm not going anywhere, so you at least have Tuesdays. You can always show up. And we'll talk about all our stuff. And I'll read to you for a little bit. It'll be a fun time. Yeah, gosh. Stuff hits different with kids. Stuff hits so much different with kids. And yeah, no, definitely try and be there for your daughter. I don't want to lose you anyway. Don't go anywhere. I'd ask for meds first before I was comfortable. Yeah, a lot of the time that's what it takes, is you just need... Yeah. Seriously, you're not just crazy, you're ill. Like, when you think of it as more like you have bronchitis, like you need help. Like, you know, like you have this illness, you need to seek help from a doctor. That's what we do for all our physical illnesses. It should be the same for mental illness. How are you going to tell me what I have and what I don't have? Yeah, like, legitimately. I'll talk to someone who's in mental recovery who has been through it. Oh, well, okay. Yeah, that sounds better. That sounds better, actually. I would much rather have another, like, depressed person on the phone who's, like, in recovery talking to me and understanding, like, yeah, sometimes shit doesn't get better. Sometimes it doesn't. And just be real with you and be like, but you know what? You know what you can do? You can make it as good as you can for you. You can do that. You want to try that? You want to cry. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'd much rather have another depressed person talking to me because, look, I'm depressed. Not actively, but, like, you know, I have depression. And parts of my life have gotten better. Part of them haven't. But part of, like, therapy and, like, doing stuff is, and just continuing to live, honestly, is kind of finding your own way through it. And it's not the same for everybody. Everybody's journey isn't the same. And, like, you get some idiot who's just doing this for a job, you know, on the other end of the line, you're not going to get something real. You know what I mean? I'm glad it's calming you a little bit. I'm sorry you're kind of breaking down. Would it help if we put on some music and wrote someone's eulogy? Don't answer that. That's just what helps me. But it doesn't work for everyone. And my method is not tried and true. It's just good for me. Gets all the sad out. And then I can function for a little while longer. But if you're having a breakdown, sometimes, honestly, the best way to get through it sometimes, and the way I stave off my breakdowns if I have shit to do and I can't break down, is just desensitize yourself. Like, just And I don't know how, but you can do that. Like when you zone out, or like when you listen to the same song on repeat 50 times, like, and you kind of zone out and forget everything's real. Sometimes you need derealization. Sometimes it helps. Honestly, it's kind of calming to me, maybe not to everybody, especially not, it might not work for people who have lost partners, like our good friend here. But we're not gonna just assume this works for everyone. But the reasoning and mentality behind it for me is that, one, it's much easier to deal with something when I have, one, a plan. When I have fully thought out, I have anxiety. So if I've thought about every wrong thing that could go wrong, every good thing that could go right, and every scenario in between, and I've planned it all out, and I've got the most likely scenario pinned down in my head, and I'm prepared for it, and I'm good to go mentally for that. If I'm financially prepared, if I have a plan to get financially prepared, as long as there's a plan of some kind to deal with this impending anxiety, I'm good mentally. Like, I can calm down enough to actually feel my own emotions. And then I plan the emotional part. Like, after I go through and I'm like, this, and this is how we're financially preparing for this, and there's the life insurance policy for this person, and then after I do all that, I get to the emotional bit, which is the eulogy, and that's the way I conclude every single one. And that's where I can actually allow myself to feel my emotions for a second, instead of just like, well, I'm gonna suppress that, like, that's the way I get through it. So just suppress it. And then later I come back to it and I'm like, okay, we're gonna deal with this now. And then I let myself, it like sort of unblocks everything, and then I'm allowed to feel those emotions, like that fear, that sadness, that pre-grief, I don't even know, of whatever about this person. And that helps alleviate the anxiety in a weird way. But that is weirdly how I feel things, is I have to mentally prepare with all the logistics of it first before I'm allowed to feel anything. Oh, I bet that's hard. Especially when you have a good relationship with your parents, and like COVID going around and everything else, and a lot of people's parents are older. And that can be really hard, especially for the holidays on people. Not being able to see them. Are you gonna like Zoom or like be able to FaceTime or anything? Or are they real sick? Hi. I am tired. Most of the time. I also do have to go here in a little bit because I gotta eat at some point. And I have 2 more content videos that I actually have to film. And a lot of the hospitals are only allowing 1 person in the room. If at all, some hospitals have different regulations because they're like... Eating is important. Call them through Messenger on Facebook. Good plan. Good plan. Then at least because it does help alleviate something. It doesn't help the emotional connection, I guess, of seeing them in person, but it does help validate, like, visually, like, they're okay. You can sort of discern what their situation is a little bit better visually, and it helps calm you down a little bit more than just hearing about them on the phone or, texting them. Yeah, and a lot of places, nursing homes are just locked down, and which is for their safety, and it's good, but also it doesn't do a whole lot for the families, swarming land sharks. Love that. Oh my god. Well, I hope they are still around. They're fine now. Have they gotten out? I gotta know the answer to some of these before I leave. I can't go and not know what happened. I gotta know the tea. No. For lack of a better term. But I like to make sure everybody's gonna be good before I go. I feel like I created this mess. Next Tuesday at 8. Oh god, what time zone am I in again? Central. Oh man, it devolved from what fandoms am I in to my sushi restaurant is gone to just straight up death talk. And I'm so sorry. I feel like every conversation I had devolves into death talk. I mean, it kind of makes sense because I'm going to be a mortician, but geez, can I take a break? Yeah, it went completely downhill. I am so sorry. Oh god, there was a tornado. Yeah, tornadoes, man. They fuck everything up. This conversation, my neighborhood, 4 states. Sorry. It's terrible. That was not funny. I'm gonna get canceled for being insensitive. I cope with dark humor. Oh. It's your birthday. Oh, sweet. Well, that's great if you want to join me for your birthday. I don't know what you have planned, so but that'd be cool. I'll read to you for your birthday is what I'll do. I never get a break. I can't ever be known for anything else, apparently. No, I just, look, I chose this life. I did. Started out with a lobotomy obsession when I was a child, and it's only gone downhill from there. Now I collect taxidermy and brains in jars. And needles. And needles. I'm planning to work. See, I never tell anyone my actual birthday because I don't want that to happen. The only people who know my birthday are my mom and my 2 partners. Nobody doesn't know my birthday. None of my other mutuals know my birthday because I deliberately don't tell people. And I don't really have any friends, so there's no one to tell. And no one actually knows my real birthday. Because my birthday's cursed, and I don't like celebrating it. Most bad life events have happened on my birthday, and I'm just gonna pretend like it doesn't exist. I wasn't really born. I'm a myth. I said mutuals. I said my mutuals don't. I don't. Thought we have a special. So glad you could join us, Nodi. We were just talking about you. I did. I picked another date, and that's what's online. I'm a cryptid. I don't exist. I have no idea how long Nodi has been here, Yeah, no. I said mutuals, Nody. Shit. Is it because I said your name? I summoned you here on accident. Speak of the devil, and he shall appear, apparently. Too true. Glad you're here. You missed the chapters. Well, I think, unless you've been in here silently for hours. We're just testing a theory I have, and it ran over a little bit. I just wanted to go a little bit over. I didn't mean a whole, hour over, but it's fine. Yeah. I'm gonna be quiet. If I'm really still, maybe Nody will leave. No. I'm joking. Don't take that personally. I love you. Yeah. I don't have any friends. We've discussed this. We're gardeners. Yeah, Nody missed all the crazy bits. God, okay. It can't be me. We're going to devolve into whatever the hell just happened. It was real. It was real hard. How did this start again? Oh yeah, I mentioned it earlier. Someone asked what fandoms I was a part of. And then it just devolved from there. And then, yeah, it was going fine for a while until I remembered that my favorite sushi restaurant is gone now because of the tornado. And then we started talking about tornadoes, and then we started talking about death, and then we started talking about therapy. It was a whole big thing. You missed it. It's gone. And also, you know me, I cope with dark humor. I'm afraid I'm gonna get canceled. I didn't say anything that I would consider terrible, but other people might consider terrible. So there's that. It was a time. It was like mental breakdown hard. Yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah, because you're the comic relief. I told you, you shouldn't let me be on the internet alone. Because if I'm on the internet alone, I'm going to bring everyone down here with me. I'm going to bring them down to the pit. This is the problem. That's the problem. So yeah, this was a shambles. I gotta say, this was a whole deal. Bring the party over here, then so I can give you your hall mat presents. Tonight, just can't wait until like Thursday when I see you at work. Well, okay, for real though. Simp for Danks isn't here, and I promised them I would eat. And I have not eaten yet, because this live has not ended yet. And I told them I would eat. And two, I have 2 more videos to shoot after this. And I've been saving them for last, because one of them is going to cause me to screw up this makeup. Sorry. Screw up this makeup. I am drinking water, trust me. And then, I am going to do another one that involves me taking this off. Which I don't want to do, but I'm going to do. So, and then I'm going to have to put all my clothes back on and then go to your place and then get, you see what I mean? I will go eat something in a minute. I gotta, but I'm drinking water and I'm gonna eat something, I promise. But the plan is get off here, eat, film those 2 other videos. Tempting. I said that an hour ago. Are you telling me to leave? You want me to leave my own life? It's not great. Alice is over there. I do want to see Alice. I've seen her a lot this week. You're the one who's been gone. I've been taking care of her every day. I know a cookie doesn't count, trust me. But, for reference, Nodi made me the cookies. So... Oh, I think so. It only cut out, I only cut it out, I don't know how long ago, but I think it still was. I will. I'm gonna eat a full meal. Oh yeah, everyone loved your cookies. They're gone. They're gone. Dave loves cookies, and he's more of a sweets person than I am. Those cookies, he ate through more than half of them. I know for sure. But I had one this morning. And then I'm pretty sure he ate the last one earlier today after I ate my cookie. And I was like, I already had a cookie today. That's my cookie limit. And he was like, it's the last one. And I was like, I don't care. You can have it. And he was like, are you sure? And I was like, yes. And then he ate it. And they're delicious. And everyone thought so. No, it wasn't a week-old cook. It was fine. I'll pay him in cookies for 3D printing. He would accept that. And 2, fine. If y'all want me to leave so bad, I'll leave. I know when I'm not wanted. You're here. Did you eat today? See, Simfordinks is going to come in here, interrogate everyone about their eating and water habits. They're looking out for us. But they're going to know if I don't eat. I'm pretty sure, I'm kind of afraid that if I didn't eat, Simfordinks would just know next Tuesday. They'd be like, you didn't eat anything. I know you didn't. Because I can feel it in my jellies or something weird like that, you know. This isn't about me, bro. Yeah. Did you eat today, Nodi? Yeah. And I have messages to catch up on. A lot of them, actually. So I don't know if I'll be coming over tonight. Hi to your daughter. Also, bye to your daughter, because I'm gonna have to go and eat food and record the rest of this content. I can feel it in your bone. Yeah, I'm sure you can. That's the thing, is I think that's your superpower. And I am gonna go. I'm not responsible for your heart. You're responsible for your heart. I'm responsible for the contents of my stomach, which I'm gonna go take care of right now. Loved seeing you guys. Really glad you could be here. Join me next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central for 2 more chapters. Bye.